We're back again here, Will. Just me and you. Keenan's
The
not
boys are
here.
back.
The boys are back in town.
We always leave it so long. I don't know why. Obviously, life gets in the way with both of us. But I guess in
Yeah.
some ways it's kind of good because we've had quite a few events since the beginning of the year. So hopefully a lot of talking points. So yeah, but we're back with another episode.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been, I think, it's pretty much 2 months now, almost to a T. By the time this is released, it's going to be 28th, right? So, no, 27th, I think. So, it's going to be the end of February. We have 2 good months of 10 scale racing behind us. We're going to go all into that. And I think it's good. We've gotten more into 10 scale, kind of thanks to you, Will, on this podcast. So, we're keeping that on.
Well, apparently I'm the chairman, according to to Keenan.
Yeah.
But I guess it's lucky as well. I kind of naturally attend a lot of these races, so I'm able to bring a lot of insights in. So, and obviously, 10 scale, I know you guys say Nitro's a glory and E-Buggy pays the bills, but I think 10 scale kind of pays out as well. So,
yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah, I do think like we're already on a tangent here. We just started, but I do think 10 scale gets the kids in. But yeah, let's go forward with the podcast. No intro. We kind of switching it up this year. So we're gonna straight up go into the show. Thank you, of course, to our main sponsor, Jconcepts. And then not forgetting our premium sponsors, Hitec RCD, Sidewinder Fuels, Invisible Speed, and ML Toys. And as well our all of the rest of our sponsors, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Get Shit Down Coffee, Elite RC Productions, One Up Racing, Mayako, A-Main Hobbies, SMC Racing, and now actually sold company Racecraft USA. So they've been a long time sponsor of us, but not continuing with their business, new avenues of weight for that brand. So it's gonna be last show we're gonna mention them. Maybe we'll have some posterity mentions here and there, but yeah. Additional thanks to the official no-name RC drivers: David Ronefolk, Robert Battier, Alex Hatberg, Maddie G, Becco and Yuna, and Mason Fuller. Patrons and YouTube members, thank you guys. I think Keenan's been getting really into this lefties RC life thing. He wants to direct it to you guys, our biggest fans and Keenan's biggest fans. I'm gonna start doing some stuff as well of my own on the channel. So if there are fans of me as well, not only just Keenan, we can probably have some stuff for you guys on the Patreon as well. Just in a bit. But thanks you to all of you guys who keep supporting the channel. All right. So now, before we get into the show, we play the advertisement for our main sponsor, Jconcepts. Thank you guys for your support. They've been on for second year now, and it's been great to have you guys on. All right, thank you, Jconcepts. So let's catch up, Will. We're back. The boys are back. Keenan's been traveling. Don't even know where all he's gone. Florida, Georgia, Beast of the East, I think, was one of the races he went. INS was there in America. So much racing on the other side of the pond. Keenan's been keeping you guys updated on that. We have the INS podcast recapping all of those races, so we can focus on the European stuff. Yeah. So how has your first few months of the year gone, Will?
Yeah, it's actually been pretty busy, to be fair, since January. So at least here in the UK, we've had the BRCA Masters. It's like a really race format, and although Neil retired last year, he actually came back for this one race. So every year he kind of said he's going to come and do this one race, kind of for as long as I think he will, as long as he feels like to do it. So it was pretty cool to have him there, even though it only been a few months. But yeah, it was a really cool event every year. Like we actually had the track was actually designed by the race style guys, so we had their jumps as well. So I thought what they designed was really good. But yeah, then after that we had EOS, which obviously we're going to go into in this podcast. But that was a pretty cool event as usual. And then we had MKGP as well, which again we'll go. I don't want to go into it too much here, but it was a pretty cool experience. I was actually on part of the team helping design and build the track, so it was a really bad track. I'm sorry, but no, but I'm kidding. But I think now it was a really cool experience to be on the other side of it and kind of see like what goes into putting on such a bigger race, especially in a shopping center. I've also just released my vlog on it, so if you guys want to go check it out, you go on the link in the description and also the channel. You should see it there. Give it a like, and yeah. But other than that, yeah, it's been pretty busy. We've got some more races coming up. I'm actually booked in for Neoland to race 8 scale. So even though we were just talking about me being a 10 scale guy, I'm taking the plunge into 8 scale. So that should be a pretty cool race. Hopefully planning to vlog that one as well. So that'll either be really good or be a complete disaster because I know nothing about engines. So yeah, that should be a fun one.
Is it your first time racing Nitro cars?
I actually did a 8 scale national last year, so I qualified really bad, but I actually did okay. In the end, I bumped up a few finals once we got into it. But yeah, I thought, yeah, I actually think it really suits my driver style a bit more. I'm a bit more aggressive and like to go deeper into the wheel and get on the throttle a lot more aggressive than others. So maybe, who knows? Maybe I might be 8 scale after this. Well, after Neo, should be a fun one.
Yeah, this is what happens when you come on the podcast. We convert everyone into 8 scale because it's the glory, you know.
Yeah, I might have to find a new chairman for the podcast.
Yeah, we just keep having a new 10 scale guy always converting to 8 scale. Let's hope not. All right. So for me, if you guys don't know, I live in France now. Je parle français. I don't speak fluent French. My French absolutely sucks. I'm here for exchange studies. Moved here at the end of January. Been really busy a few weeks trying to get everything sorted. I have a very small apartment here, and yeah, living in France. Not much in terms of RC, but I've been following the racing. Yeah, we can now talk all about it because EOS was pretty good. I watched it all. MKGP not so much, but luckily our chairman was there, so he'll take the lead on that one a bit more. But yeah, lots of racing so far, and lots of racing to come as well. I think we're gonna catch up with Keenan maybe next week on some 8 scale stuff when I think he's back in the DR. So yeah, get back to 8 scale then, and more into RC for me as well. Hoping to start some of my own content here in a few weeks. Yeah, this podcast mostly EOS Daun, I think. We have some news in the 10 scale side of things, some gossip as well, and yeah, MKGP, another one to talk about. And then if we come up with something, then we talk about it, right? We like our tangents.
Exactly. So this could be another 4 or 5 hour podcast. Like, who knows at this point?
Yeah, I really hope it's not, because it's actually nice weather here, so I want to go out later today. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one. But let's say not 4 hours. I think last one was our record. And we're definitely not doing a 7-hour one. I think that will be one for the history books.
How did
That's
you
it.
guys even? I wasn't even there. And how did you guys
I
do it?
wasn't there
And
either.
obviously, you two are Finnish. Oh, was it just Pekka and
It
Keenan?
was JQ, Pekko, and Keenan.
Oh
So
boy.
like it was basically all JQ, you know, because if I was there, I would have been like, okay, guys, I'm gone. You know, I'm not doing a 7-hour podcast. But well, I guess people liked it. A lot of people still come comment on it and like say they finished it finally and they loved it.
There you go. So
yeah.
if you're on a long road trip, just whack that episode on. Why not?
Yeah, probably have to be on a really long road trip to, to watch the whole thing, but yeah. All right, move on to the news, I think. And that is brought to you by Hitec RC. Looking for top-tier performance and reliability in your RC setup. Hitec RCD has you covered with industry-leading chargers and servos for both surface and air applications. Whether you're bashing, racing, or taking to the skies, Hitec's advanced technology delivers precision, power, and durability when you need it most. From high torque servos to smart, efficient charging solutions, trust Hitec to keep you in control. Hitec, powering passion, elevating performance. Visit hitecrcd.com today. They signed Ryan Cavalier for this year. They signed Dave Ronnefolk a few years back. I ran their stuff, absolutely top class in every way. So yeah, go check them out for sure. Then into the news. I had this lined up as our first news piece because this came out. Well, let's not say early January, but like sort of the one of the earliest news of the year. So let me get that on screen for you guys. So here we have the SOTA 1/10 off-road stock system. So obviously last year we had some information about SOTA coming up with this, you know, position sensitive damping for 8 scale. And now they've come up with this like flap style design for 10 scale. To be honest, I'm not absolutely sure on what's happening here. Because
Yeah,
there's like so many.
I don't have any engineering background. This just looks like some alien sorcery to me, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, so my kind of there's clearly 3 different types of material. There's 3 different type of holes. So the darker material, obviously, this one will not have flow on the inbound of the shock, and then on the rebound it will open. But these 2 flaps, I'm not absolutely certain if these are able to flex both directions or mostly just in one direction. And to me, it kind of looks like it's gonna stiffen up once the damping speed increases to increase pack. But you would really need to hold one of these in your hand to know exactly what all of these flaps are doing. And then you have this third flap with this screw. I guess
It's like
this
a
one
grub
is
screw.
to, yeah, I feel like this is just to lock it everything in place so it doesn't like rotate around. Yeah, but basically they don't really give that much yet. But they say that it gives you a little bit of more depth in terms of tuning, and it's compatible with like different 10 scale pistons. So I'm interested to see um how this does in the like the real world, I guess. So how do people like it, and how does it work? It says kind of like that there is port closure with complete shim coverage when engaged, but this is kind of like, you know, lingo. So I haven't checked the technical explanation, but I'm kind of more interested to see what the feeling of the people who actually use this is. Like, do the people feel like it's working or not? Because I think that's the most difficult part about designing something like this is you can design something and it can have like different inputs, but then if it works, that's the big question. But something cool, I think cool thing about Sota is they've actually tried to like innovate in the shock geometry. They tried something new, and also in 10 scale, because usually it's kind of an 8 scale only thing. Yeah, do you have something to add to that? I don't like, so it looks cool, but I don't really have anything much to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool for sure. I just don't know if it's a little bit overkill. It's just what I'm kind of thinking, but I don't know the engineering side and benefits and well, if there was any negatives. So I guess for me, that's the only thing. Just like, is it a little bit on the overkill side? But I do remember a little while ago, like actually on an episode from here when Mayfield was on, he was talking about like RC shocks could be so much more complex, like to be on the side of like maybe what real world shocks are like, but then like it would either not be durable enough or be too overcomplicated or just be so expensive. So I guess like, a piston itself is pretty cheap in general and it works in a simple way. But I guess with these flaps and stuff, because I know like a lot of guys here in the UK have kind of used these flapper pistons or like the VRP ones. That's kind of become a big thing recently, and some people are really liking them. So I haven't tried it yet. That's one thing I need to try, but it seems to be working. So I guess they're just taking that concept to the next level, really.
Yeah, I think one sort of now that we are sort of into the topic of shocks, I think one issue we have is that our damping is not like or we have a very very progressive damping curve. So basically, because the holes stay the same size, the faster the piston moves, the more damping you have, and it's exponential. So basically, like when you hit a bump, if you hit the bump in a high speed, like the shock will be stiffer, which is kind of counterintuitive because you want the shock in a high speed to let the bump like go through, but then like when the car rolls, you want it to be somewhat stiff so you don't have like these small things don't bother the car that much. So you kind of want to find the sweet spot of when is the speed of hitting the bump so high that the shock should be actually softer or not so progressively stiffer. I don't know if that makes sense to someone who is not in like interested in shocks that much or hasn't been looking into shocks that much. But that's sort of the idea of how full scale pistons work, and that's why you see those like short course, like full scale short course trucks going so smoothly through the bumps, because that's basically how there's other factors too, but that's one reason why they look, and rally cars the same, like why the shock are so good on the bumps but the car is still really stiff. Same with motocross and everything. But I think that's something that nobody has really properly given a try to, because I feel like even this flapper piston, it's kind of it's a bit one-dimensional. It doesn't give like, yes, it gives tunability, but it only gives you basically two different tuning options, and the flapper pistons give you just one, which is like different flow on each side. So it's kind of like, do you want faster rebound or faster inbound? And that's kind of the difference that this most flapper pistons give. So there really isn't like what Mayfield probably meant by, when he said that it could be more complex. The piston, I think, is the easiest one to solve. What isn't easy to solve is the pressurization part of the shock, which is what I think he meant. That it's getting really complex because like full scale shocks, they are pressurized. They have like a lot of the times the bladder has nitrogen in it. We have bladders, but it's like unpressurized bladder designs. So it's kind of like halfway there, you know, not even then, like not even halfway there, like maybe a quarter there. You have the bladder, but you don't have the air inside it. And so that's why you don't have the functionality of it. But yeah, we're really far behind in shock design. So it's kind of welcome that we have something new coming in. Yeah. And as a guy interested in like rallying and motocross, it's kind of like nice to see some shock design. But maybe not so much for indoor 10 scale.
No, not on the basically on the tracks we race on. But maybe an 8 scale, like, or maybe dirt. Maybe we'll see it. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see like how, if like maybe this becomes a thing or not. But I think it's kind of still in like those certain conditions where you'd kind of run it more than anything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. That was a tangent and a half. So let's go to the next one. B7.1 released by Team Associated. So this is
I can
obviously a while ago, but
my B7 just came. So
oh, you got the new car?
I've got one. Yeah, it just came my Associated order. So
okay, I'm happy for you getting the new car and looks cool. And now I'm gonna give some maybe not so constructive, but some criticism to Associated. Please stop with the fucking AI art, okay? It's disgusting looking. It looks so bad on the box, the AI art, okay? Thank you. No more AI boxes at Team Associated. You know, one more and I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do something. Like, stop with this bullshit. And one of the funny ones was also that they released the B84 and B84D, and the carpet car was on dirt, and the dirt car was on carpet. I don't know if you.
Oh, I didn't even spot that. Was that with the gold one?
Yeah, the gold. I think it was a gold one. Yeah. And I was like, is the AI doing the posting as well? Because like, what the fuck, you know? Yeah, but please stop with that. Other than that, now let's go into the car, which actually isn't too bad. So we can give.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't get in trouble for this, but yeah, I kind of agree with the AI stuff. But yeah, so maybe that's one thing. Hopefully, will change.
Yeah. So new car. Here's kind of the new features. So going from the 5 gear to a very big idler 3 gear. So I think original motor position, but with the 3 gear. New steering caster block assembly, some ball studs. Durability increases, and then they have the inverted rear shocks. So let's go straight to that. So you basically have the ability to mount the rear shock really down low by this aluminum piece, and then you mount it upside down from the tower. So okay, I think this is one of the things. I don't know if the Hall brothers started this, but I remember like 2 years ago when the Hall brothers made a YouTube video about this, and then JQ was like, "Please don't do this," and then everybody started doing it, and now it seems to be mainstream. Even we're gonna go into later, but Mugen has released a similar kit to their car. So, what's this all about? This upside down shock thing. Where did it start, and how did we get here?
Yeah, so it actually, it did actually start with the Halls. So because they started experimenting with it at some indoor races with the B6. So I think there was no secret that the B6 was a fantastic car, but we always just lacked a little bit of steering when we ran the Schumacher cut stagger tire. So this was something they tried and because when I first saw it, I said to them like, "Why the hell are you doing this? Makes my B6 look ugly as hell." But like when you actually tried it, it was really annoyingly quite good. The main thing I noticed was just on the on-power corners when you're flat, you can just carry so much more corner speed, and it just stays flatter as well. It doesn't roll as much. So that was kind of how it started, and then it's kind of. I know the other brands kind of did it for a little bit. I know with the Schumachers where you could just pop off the shocks. They had like different mounting styles back then. It was really easy for them to do it, but I know they tried it a little bit, but I don't think it was kind of. Looks like they've kind of just gone back to normal. I don't think I ever saw X-Ray do it, but then I know you said Mugen's just got a new kit as well. But what I was going to say with the B7.1, from as far as I'm aware, it's actually Tommy's. It was kind of based off Tommy Hall's MKGP winning car from last year. So they did a lot of they did a lot of what the Halls have learned and kind of incorporated it into this new car. So like they did bring out a upside down shock kit, but I think here they've gone to the next level where they've got the droppers on it as well. So I haven't tried the car with the droppers, but I know a lot of the team have, and they've really liked it. So it's pretty cool to see it in the car here. So like I think it's something you'll only really run on carpet. A few of the guys have tried it on Astro, but I personally can't bring myself to do it on Astro. But I think on carpet, it's I definitely think it's a good move.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna blame the Hall brothers for this phenomenon, but
well, yeah. I think they made the video on it, as in with JQ and that. So I guess you could blame Tommy and Jamie for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's obvious issues with this, but I think what you said, that you like, even the associated guys don't really run on Astro. Like, do the Hall brothers ever run it like this in Astro?
I haven't seen them, but I know with the 4-wheel they did it a little bit, and but
both front
you generally would only do it. Front? I think it might have been just the rear, maybe, but it's only generally like on really high grip flat tracks. I think you would see the main advantage, at least from. There might be more to it, but that's just what I observe.
Yeah, because what I was kind of going for here is that Astro is usually pretty bumpy, and basically what you're balancing here is center of gravity versus unsprung weight. So do you want to have more weight, basically heavier wheels, same thing as having heavier wheels, or do you want to have the weight higher? You have kind of compromise here. You can have a low weight, but then you'll have this issue with unsprung weight. And with unsprung weight, when you hit a bump, the bump is going to push the weight up. And for the car, the chassis, to stop the weight from moving, which is the springs and the damping, it's going to have to do more work. It's going to have to work better. So when it's bumpy and you have a more unsprung weight, it actually ends up happening so that it's going to upset the car much easier. So then you go on carpet, no bumps, very few obstacles which upsets the car consistently. So you can it's basically driving on a flat track, so you don't have to worry about bumps. And then in the jumps, the unsprung weight is not necessarily that bad of a thing, because you can account for jumps with the damping setup much easier than bumps, because bumps are always different. It's not the same bump every time. So actually it makes a lot of sense why this will work on carpet, and I don't see it as a totally bad move on the modern day of racing. I am surprised that you guys are the only brand pretty much doing this. Sure, Mugen has it now, but I feel like I don't think I ever saw an X-Ray guy do this. Not sure about S-Works or guys like that. But Schumacher kind of, I saw some of them ran them on 4-wheel drive, but on the old one. But now nobody else is doing this. So I'm kind of interested in why does it work better on the associated, or how is it better? But I guess that's something that I don't think anybody knows at this point. what it is, because it's worked on two different style cars, the B6 and the B7. But I guess this was the big, like, I think this is the first car to be sold from the box with the shocks upside down in the back, at least. Yeah, so other updates, to be honest, not so much. Very small, like, updates on the spindle and the bulkhead to get the link in the better angle, and then also the gearbox. Yeah, that's something we haven't talked about. So what was the issue with the 5 gear that they really badly wanted to go away from it? Like, was there some good reason that, the 5 gear, is it just like the stock guys, or do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I know a little bit. I think the main thing of the 5 gear, I know there was a little bit of issues with reliability at the beginning, but I think it's also the drag side. So for the stock guys, I think just having those extra gears, it's a little bit more drag on the drivetrain, and I think also, like, you have like a drag feel, like I think it takes longer for the motor to spool up with a 5 gear, but then which I think was part of the issue. But then the 3 gear, like, it seemed to be like a lot better, to be fair, and it's obviously in this kit. Like, a lot of guys actually ran it at the Worlds and saw some good results. I know Daniel Pole, junior world champion, he actually ran the truck. Well, I guess you call it the truck 3 gear, so it's been pretty good. Even though it's a massive gear, it keeps the motor in the same place, just makes it a 3 gear again. So I guess you get that reliability back. You kind of get the same feel of what, like, the old, like, B6 gearbox was like. So I think overall I think it's an improvement, 100%. And obviously the reliability as well is better. Like, you're not going to have that issue again. So, but you get to keep the motor in the same position, which is great for the high grip conditions mainly.
Yeah, to be honest, maybe they should have gone with this one to begin with, but yeah, I guess at that time the 5 gear seemed like a better option with because it is, I think the idle is bigger than the diff, if I'm not totally wrong.
Is pretty. I did actually put it side by side. It is pretty similar. You might be right. I think it actually is like a tad bit bigger, but it's actually, like, kind of talking on the 5 gear stuff. It's quite interesting because I don't know, the X-Ray was kind of the second. I know, so wheel speed kind of started this whole 5 gear trend, and I know our next topic also touches on this. So maybe we can migrate to it. But, like, yeah, they kind of started with their RF2 conversion kit, I think, and that was really good on, like, EOS carpet and stuff. And then I saw, I don't know who the next brand was, but I guess, like, X-Ray was kind of the second or the next brand to kind of go in and, like, make a production 5 gear. But it's kind of, I find it weird because I think a lot of people now are kind of going back to the 3 gear laydown position, not even, like, doing the same thing like Associated here, but kind of going even further, like bringing the motor back again, kind of to what a traditional laydown are doing. And then I know, do you want me to touch on Schumacher now or later if we're gonna go into
it? we can go into it, but I think this is sort of an interesting discussion because about the position of the motor, because I remember when we was running Schumacher, the belt one, 2016 or something. They had many different, like, motor positions, and at EOS, at the end of the life of that car, we was actually running the motor as far back as you could get it with the belt. So, like, there was like a really far forward position where the battery was behind the motor, and then there was sort of a middle position, and then there was the back position. And many times when we went to EOS, Orlowski had like 2 cars, or sometimes I think like he even had 3, like, trying the different position, and almost always all the way furthest back was the fastest, and, like, well, let's say combination of best to drive to fastest, so had the best performance. And yeah, I think there must be something to it, that there is a limit of how far forwards you can bring the motor before it starts to actually lose performance. So Yeah, I because you said that a lot of brands came up with the 5 gear and then they're going back to the backwards position 3 gear. But then like there's also a limit of how far back you can go, because I heard that Schumacher had a 3D printed metal gearbox already during the Euros this year. But that one had the motor further backwards because the grip was low. At least that's what I was told. And Associated also had the laid back gearbox. But most of the times, even on low grip, the layback has been slower. So people, like, to my knowledge, really didn't even run the layback on the Associated. They ran the lay down most of the time when they had the option. So I feel like we might be finding sort of a sweet spot with these 10 scale gearbox designs on where the motor placement should be, because it's getting like the far back or far forward ones are kind of going out of fashion, except for apparently, Schumacher, which we'll touch on next. But I'll allow you to comment on while I bring the Schumacher one up.
Yeah, I think you're right. To be honest with that, it's kind of like everyone's been going further forwards. But like, it's funny you say like the KF, because I had that same car back then, and I did have like both motor positions, I guess you could say, and it was like I almost feel like it's like a personal preference, because I remember I had like the kit KF where like it was the saddle behind was the battery behind the motor? Yeah, so the battery was behind the motor, I think, because the motor was like that further forwards. And I got noticed in high grip and EOS. Like, I mean, I wasn't the driver I was now, so it was like I actually really liked it. And then outdoors, like, I always kind of felt like the grip was a little bit like hit and miss. And then we had like that conversion kit, which kind of brought. And I know they designed that for the 2015 Euros Robin Hood. So I know everyone kind of started running that, and that was kind of the next big thing. But then it was weird, because then I feel, at least for me, after I actually kind of finished the season going back to the forwards position, but that was honestly just me. But I think it's like, even some guys at my local club, it's just like a heavy debate. Like, there's a few guys that have X-rays, and they're like, some people like the 5 gear, some people like the 3 gear, and it's kind of like a bit of a personal preference thing. I mean, I haven't gone back to back on it, but I just felt like with we only have one position, I guess. But like, I never ran the layback really with the old B6. And I know when Spencer won the 2019 Worlds, he ran the laydown gearbox. I think kind of for the same reason. I think just because like, it's actually further forwards, it doesn't actually mean I don't think you lose that much more grip, but it's like you just gain the corner speed, which is like, especially with the laydowns, you can't drive them. You have to just kind of be smooth and always like kind of carrying the speed, which is kind of, I guess if you're driving a car like that, then you get the full benefit of the laydown compared to a layback. And obviously Hoodie Arena was it's actually a big track. There's no tight corners, so you're always kind of, I guess, on power, I guess is what I could say.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's sort of why we went from stand up under to lay back under to lay down under. Then now we're kind of actually in the same position almost everywhere. But yeah, I said that Schumacher did something of the opposite. They released a 5 gear transmission of themselves, printed from aluminium. Really cool design to have like selling printed metal parts. I think it's one of the first ones in the RC market. Yeah, they used this to great success at the EOS, going the opposite way from I haven't brought it to screen yet, sorry. They use this to great success, sort of going the opposite way of a lot of the other brands, and seems to be working for them, I guess. This 5 gear.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's like such a personal preference. I know the Schumacher naturally has so much steering, so I don't know if maybe because of that, maybe the gearbox kind of works for them a bit more. But it's pretty cool that it's 3D printed. like I actually just thought it was kind of just a what's the word, like just not injection molded, but like just a
like cast,
like
no, cast.
yeah, that's it, just like a cast mold or something. But I didn't. But it looks like it's 3D printed. I wasn't sure like if it's actually. I guess my question is like on the flex side, like because everyone generally uses plastic for transmissions, is that because of the flex characteristics, or would it have been cheaper for Schumacher, for example, to make a mold, or I guess because how many people are realistically gonna buy this, because it's you only really use it in unique conditions, I would say, like EOS. So was the idea to go 3D printed cost saving, or I don't know, maybe that's something you'll know a bit more than me.
Yeah, I think from like a manufacturing standpoint, the issue with like injection molded parts is that the upfront cost is really high. So for an injection mold, like just the mold of the part, you could be paying like tens of thousands of dollars. So if you think in case of like a gearbox, you create a 3-gear, then you create a 3-gear layback, then you create a 5-gear, then you create a 3-gear, like, which is the same position as the 5-gear, which is basically what's happened at Associated. That's 4 different molds together, and all of them costing let's just put a number like 20,000, which is probably could be on the lower side, to be honest, because it's quite a complex part. And they cost what, $15 a pop. So that's quite many gearboxes that you have to sell to offset the costs. So that's pretty much the sort of real issue with injection molding, and I think that's sort of because of the fact that the 5-gear is for quite rare conditions, and they've had great success with their standard gearbox on all other conditions, like Astro and Dirt. Probably, at least not initially, doesn't really justify the investment. And I think, like, to be honest, like Associated probably lost money on like doing the 5-gear and then reverting back to the 3-gear to some extent. Yes, obviously it's a good financial decision in the end, because if the 3-gear works better than the 5-gear. But yeah, from a financial and like manufacturing standpoint, it actually makes sense for short term. I mean, they sell this for like $50 for the gearbox. I think was just the gearbox. I think it was like 50, or was it 50 pounds even, which is a lot more than the plastic one. But the reason is that when you create a metal one, you kind of have to create just one. You don't have, like, if you have 10 people who want it, you can create 10 and that's it. But for injection molding, if you wanted to create 10 gearboxes, it would be much more expensive. It would be probably in the hundreds or maybe even thousands, to be honest, with the upfront cost for one gearbox. So that's kind of the dynamic here, and I think it's for those who want this now and maybe don't need it ever again. $50 or 50 pounds is not a lot. And then for Schumacher, there's no like risk of investment, so they can try different things really quickly, and they can like revert back to some designs really quickly without worrying about the financial burden that they're putting themselves in. So I think that's why they released it like this now. But I mean, I guess if everyone starts running this, they will just eventually make the plastic one because they will make more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said there was like pretty right, and yeah, my kind of thought was like the costing as well. I mean, it also looks pretty cool that it's like the thing that also gets me. I mean, I don't know how metal 3D printers work, if it's quite literally the same thing, but there's no like almost layer lines on it, which I mean, this is a whole topic in itself, but like, but like,
I can
like it looks like a finished product, to be honest. Like, other than it's grey, which I maybe would have personally got it anodized black or something, but I mean, fair enough. Like, it does the job, which I guess is the important thing.
Yeah. So very quickly, like not all, but pretty much everyone who has a metal 3D printer for something is like a laser power bed fusion printer. So you have powder, and then you have this layer of like metal, and you have a very strong laser. And this laser like melts the metal powder together, and then the bed goes downwards like step by step, and there's always like a new like there's this kind of mechanical tool that spreads the powder on top always for on top of each layer. So like the laser melts layer by layer together, but because the laser is so small and so precise, you don't really have the issue of layer lines, which you do in plastic 3D printing a lot of the times. There is layer lines, but they're so small that it's really hard to spot. There are some constraints to metal 3D printing, and for example, in aluminium, which this is made of, the issue is that it's really explosive. So there's a high risk of exploding. The powder has that quality. So it's a powder explosion. Yeah,
oh, well,
but
I never knew that bit.
Yeah, from like strength standpoint, these are really strong. Oftentimes, really like you can have materials that are close to as strong as like machine parts. It's actually pretty great. The only issue is fatigue, but in RC it's kind of not necessary because the forces are usually smaller than what the material can stand. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic in material sciences. I guess flex part is a valid concern, but to be honest, I feel like the gearbox itself does not really flex that much, because if it did flex, the gears would wear out quite a bit. So I think I think like the flex happens usually after the gearbox. So I actually don't think it's that big of an issue to have an aluminium or a gearbox for that matter. But that's something maybe the guys at Schumacher could tell us more. Like, is there actually a flex thing? Because they probably have tried the flex, like to isolate, basically print the same thing that they have in plastic, but from aluminium, and then try if there's a difference. I'd say probably not, but there could be. Like, you never know.
Yeah, this is true.
So yeah, really cool innovation in RC. I think this is going to be something that's going to become more and more common in the future. Having like 3D printed stuff. I mean, they have the bumpers in on-road. They have the I think they have quite a lot of parts already in on-road, not just the bumpers. And body stiffness, all of that 3D printed from plastic. And now we're getting metal. Metal is, it's metal. It's cool. Okay, now we have a few more bit of news. We've been staying on this news for quite a while, but there's been some interesting pieces. We have the TLR 4-wheel drive released just last week, I believe, or let me see. Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago now. Yeah, but we have the new TLR 22X 4 2.0. To be honest, with by just looking at this, I don't really know if there's anything new. Well, 30mm shocks kind of feel just like an update kit to the old car, if I'm totally honest with you. Like, it didn't feel like they went to the drawing board and tried to find something new to innovate. It was kind of like, we have this car and we just need to like give it a little bit of update to keep it up to date. And I think that's just about it.
Yeah, like I can see there, like it's got the same kind of roll bar design that some of the touring cars, and I think what the B84 has, where like the kind of like two couplets that kind of go into it. But like, so I was just thinking this now, like the car is like because the car was technically made for the 2019 World, so I guess the platform itself is probably nearly like 6 years now, maybe 7.
Yeah. At least 6 years.
But I think it's
more.
Yeah, and I think I still think it's a good car. I don't know what it's like on carpet because I don't really see them often in the UK. But on dirt in the States, looks like a pretty solid car. Like nothing really wrong with it. I guess like this is probably now going to be another tangent in itself. This will probably circle back now to like what is the state of TLR, because to me it kind of looks like they're making a small comeback. Because I know now they got some drivers which are coming on board again, and I saw they just had a race at what's Dustin Evans' track, his local track. It was like, I'm gonna butcher it. It was,
I can't remember.
Like Moore's, I don't. Yeah, but basically, like a lot of people are like they went there. There was, I know, like Hunter. He's still, and obviously that's his body paint there. So that's really cool for him to show his body paint as well on the box. But so it's kind of weird to kind of see the state of TLR at the moment. I don't know what their kind of thinking is, because why would they put this investment to make a car if they're not really focusing on the race team side or the racing? No, I'm not trying to bash on them, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just like, is this them making like a small comeback, or what's kind of their thoughts with it?
I mean, I kind of get what you're saying, but at the same time, I also think that like they actually believe in the fact that they can make it by without pros. Like they believe that they can keep things going as they kind of are without pro drivers on their team. And I think this is kind of like, because they released the two-wheel drive last year, when they basically at the same time everybody left the team, and then now they released a four-wheel drive, and like I feel like yes, TLR got hit really bad when everybody left, because they didn't continue their deals. But I feel like now it's been getting stronger, like from that time. Like I feel like they've grown as a race team from that point onwards. And like, so I think it's kind of working what they're doing, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, of course it's like tough to say, like the sales part of side. And also, like I said, this is more so of an update to the old car. So I kind of feel like it's more so for the customers, because for the race team, like they was probably using all of this stuff as soon as they had their own 30mm shocks and all of that, like the maybe not the roll bar attachment, but like the shocks and all of the little tidbits they brought up. I think they already had this stuff like last year, but now they're just bringing it to the customers in one package.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the car itself was like fine. I guess like you're saying, for like the club racer or maybe like the higher end racer, the car's probably more than fine. It's just more like on that upper level. Like it seems like for example, we see the recent races this year. Like you haven't really seen like a TLR like high up anywhere. Like I know Hunter does a great job, and I think he races more stock. And I saw he had a good result this weekend at the track I cannot remember the name of, but and he also ran a car at the Worlds, and I think he was fairly decent, maybe C final, D final kind of area at Worlds level. But I think it's obviously at a high end level. But I think in America it looks like a car, like maybe from sales and people using it, looks fine, but like in Europe it's non-existent. And I know there's maybe you as a fellow European will kind of understand this, but it's like like it seems like, and I don't want to upset everyone now in this podcast, but like there's a lot of emphasis on the US races sometimes, and and Europe is a little bit pushed to the side. But I mean, I'm sure there's like several reasons for that, like economic and trying to find distributors, for example, trying to get the support infrastructure in Europe. So I appreciate there's a lot more to it. Obviously, most RC brands are American, so I do see the side of it, I guess, but it just would be a little bit nice sometimes to see a bit more like the US brands in Europe, because I think there's a lot of great US RC brands out there. But it'd just be cool to see them a bit more in Europe.
Yeah, and I feel like that this has been the issue of TLR for a long time. Like they were pretty strong in 8 scale. They was kind of riding that Adam Drake wave of the 2008 for quite a while, but I think it was around well, to be honest, around the time when Drake left, that Horizon Europe kind of died down a lot. Distribution went down, and then like they didn't really have anyone to really market the brand for Europeans. I feel like the Italian distribution also went away, which was a big TLR market, and they just kind of died away in 8 scale as well, where there was really big for a while. Even in Finland, I think it was like it was X-Ray and TLR, which most people ran. And yeah, well, Kyosho and Mugen have always been popular, but I feel like it's been a long-term issue for TLR. Associated, it's kind of been the opposite. They've had a really strong hold in the Europe, perhaps because they are a much older brand. But I feel like Associated's been always really strong in Europe in 10 scale, but in 8 scale, not so much until recent years, to be honest. But yeah, I think, to be honest, one thing I'm kind of interested to see is, let's say someone from TLR becomes fast in the stock class. What if some stock brand picks them up? Let's say like I don't know, like some brand who does stock like electronics picks them up and starts paying them a salary. Like, sure, I guess it would be beneficial for you to switch brands and get money from your car brand as well. But at the same time, if you're enjoying your TLR rides and the rides are good and you get contingency from, because I think they have still the racer payout program. Like, actually, it's not a terrible deal in that sense for a stock racer to run TLR at this point. Like, if you're at the top of stock, it's actually, you can probably make it work like financially pretty well. But I think the issue is mod, because no like mod like tire or electronics manufacturer is going to pay enough to justify like not getting money from your chassis manufacturer, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously on the mod side, I'm guessing to get that kind of payment, you'd obviously have to win some pretty big events, and obviously Modified is kind of the top class in 10 scale. Obviously, it's what all the pros race, so that'd be pretty difficult. But I guess from the club side, like I don't want to say club side, but I guess like the stock guys, like you said, it actually could be a good thing. So the cars look good, like that's the thing. But I guess just my thing is like the team side just seems a little bit, doesn't kind of follow the same way, I guess. But maybe this, like you said, if it's working for them, then great. But I guess it's just it feels like you can only get so far, and then like you said, I think a kind of good example would be Nate Sutherland, because he was a TLR driver, really good in stock, and I guess if he kind of stayed, he would have been at a kind of similar point. Obviously now he's a Schumacher driver, so I guess he could have been in a position where, obviously I assume he gets, well, I'd hope he gets like free electrics, and maybe he gets, I don't know if he would get a salary, but if he was, then, you know, if you're getting a salary from your electrics, but you're a chassis, then that might be a bit of a tough conversation to have.
Yeah, exactly. I think Yeah, but that's something that I think is going to be interesting for the next few years, because I feel like electric companies are becoming much more prominent in sponsoring people like the stock racers with actual salaries. So that kind of opens doors for this kind of models that TLR has for those guys. All right, but let's keep moving on. We have one quick thing still to show you guys, which is the Mugen gave a little bit of an update to their tool drive, which we kind of referred to earlier. So we have upside down rear shocks, which is sort of their carpet setup, and their kit for that. And they also have new towers. So this one is for the front, and as you can see, the shocks are like really stood up. I've seen this in a few buggies recently. Like I think the S Works one of them. I think Kyosho's tool drive had this as well. And also in 8 scale, this has been really, really common recently to have really stood up front shocks. To be honest, like I don't really understand why we have switched up to now liking this, but it's been a sort of an industry thing that we went from really late down front shocks at one point, and everybody having like pivot ball cars, to now like people kind of think, maybe pivot ball isn't the best thing in 8 scale, or like trying to go away from high KPI to lower KPI like Associated has. And then having really stood up shocks, I think S Works and Infinity, even X-Ray, I think all of kind of went this route recently. And it's an interesting sort of development, because I feel like this is kind of counterintuitive to the way the tracks are going. But then again, I think the reason why they're doing this in a lot of cases is to introduce some trust in the front end, because it's more linear this way. It's less progressive. You have the front end always kind of the same way. It's more predictable. Even though it's more aggressive, it's more predictably aggressive. And I guess with shock package, you can like make the aggressiveness a bit more dampened. So perhaps that's the key to this. But I've been just finding this interesting that all the companies went another way, and I feel like now a lot of them are going the exact opposite. Pretty much same thing as we talked about the diff cases, but something for those people who are really what's the word, like go around the cars with a sharp eye and can spot that at different manufacturers. But maybe not as big of a thing as the thing we talked about before, but something to think about for sure. Yeah. Do you have anything to add, or we conclude our news? We're kind of halfway through the show then.
I think we concluded there. I don't personally have much to say about suspension. So I kind of trust you on that one, to be fair.
That's all right. That's all right. But I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like this is one of those illogical things from the industry that same with the gear cases, same thing. Oh yeah, we're actually not yet going to the EOS because we have MKGP to talk about. So we're going into some of the recent races. So let me actually drop an advertisement. We're going to start off quickly going through MKGP, and then we're going to get into the EOS recap of Daun. So let's drop that invisible speed ad. Thank you for being our premium sponsor, and stop scrolling.
Stop scrolling. You want to be Lewis Hamilton? Learn something new with invisible speed. You can't do everything at 100% maximum speed. You have to be smooth. I mean, when you drive a real car, if you drive a real car, how do you just, when you get to a 90-degree corner to turn into the parking lot, do you go like that with the steering wheel? Do you like slam on the throttle and the brake? No, you probably turn the wheel smooth. and get on the throttle smooth. Same thing with an RC car. If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, stop scrolling!
Stop scrolling. Yeah, okay. So I didn't really have the chance to follow the MKGP that much because I was just about moving in here. And I didn't really watch much of it. I watched some Facebook videos and stuff. So I'm gonna let you, Will, take it away for us, guys. I'm gonna I don't know what you're gonna start on, but if you want me to bring up some tracks or something, just let me know.
Yeah. So this was kind of a bit of a different MKGP for me because I was able to be part of the team that designed the track. So there was me and two buddies, Yazir Miguel and Alfie Castle, which is the son of Brett Castle, who's the guy that actually runs the event. But yeah, so us three together kind of put together the track design, many nights on Discord trying to put together a track. So that was a pretty cool experience. And then from there, I actually went down to the shopping center from the Tuesday night to basically help build the whole track. So from my side, it's been a pretty eye-opening experience to go from you're not just being a racer, but being there to help building the track, designing it, putting it together. Obviously, it wasn't just me. Obviously, those guys and also the Junction 16 crew. So to any of those guys listening, obviously, thanks for the help as well and having me on helping as well. So as you can see, this was the final track we kind of had. So last year, the Silverstone, for the last few years, the Silverstone crew put on the show, and they've done an absolutely amazing job. I think this year, they always joked about saying, "Oh, we might not do it next year," and I think they kind of came to terms with that. I think just being honest, now that I see how much work goes into it, yeah, I completely understand it. But so Silverstone did it, and now the Junction 16 crew, which is another club kind of local in the area, kind of took on the role to put on the show. So this was their first year doing it. So, and as you can see, here's the track. We tried to make it. We took a lot of inspiration from the race style tracks and EOS, and I think from my side, try to make it fast and flowing, not stupidly technical and tight in sections, but I think it was kind of the best compromise of everything. And the main thing, and this was kind of something I really wanted, was lots of features, because we raced off-road cars. And I think if you're going to race off-road on carpet, we should have a lot of jumps and features at the very least. So I know a few of the lower guys kind of don't feel the same way, which I understand. But I also think it's off-road. If it's going to be off-road on carpet, we're at least going to have some jumps. So this is what we kind of came up with. And I think we did a really good job. And I think the general feedback was generally pretty good. The track was actually really nice to drive, in my opinion. I know there's always going to be a few guys that have the opposite opinion, which you can never please everyone. But I thought the whole layout, the way it was presented, was really good. And obviously I didn't go into it, but anyone who doesn't understand MKGP, it's basically it's a big off-road event similar to EOS, but it's actually in a shopping centre in the UK. So they say roughly 100,000 people over the 3 days actually walk by the event and come and have a look at it. So, and obviously from our side, a lot of the best guys from Europe and the UK come to race this. So it's pretty similar to EOS. I'll probably say just a click off the competitive side, just because it clashes with TITC and Montpellier and so on. But in previous years, we've basically had the same turnout as EOS, if not just a click off. But yeah, I thought from my side, I think it went really well. It was a really, really good event. I guess what I should ask, obviously, what your thoughts were on it, Max, as someone was an outsider, to kind of see what you think from it. Because obviously you've been like me, you've been to a number of races. So all to you.
So I absolutely have loved this race in the past years. This year just sort of schedules made it so that I couldn't really follow much. And then also I kind of was bummed that, Ongaro was here last year. Orlowski's been here most years and stuff. But this year, also for them, the schedules kind of screwed it up. So I feel like some people had to miss it this year, which was really unfortunate. I think I don't think it's the fault of MKGP because they pretty much held it a similar date most of the times. But I feel like it's just a bit tough. So many races going on at the same time. EOS just a few weeks before that as well. But it's always been a good race. I remember following with Keenan a few years back. We did a whole I think we did a whole recap of this race then with them with Keenan. The track itself, I feel like this tabletop off some jump section look really difficult for a lot of guys. But then again, I think it's mostly because they was running so low ride height. Like when the cars landed, it looked very twitchy and unnatural. But I guess also you explained that they had like new carpet there, which was very twitchy, which was not supposed to be kind of like on the end of the carpet manufacturer thing. So that
so it was meant to be, for anyone asking, the club did order black EOS carpet, but the suppliers screwed up at the last minute and they gave us the grey stuff, so it wasn't intentional. And but yeah, that centre bit you were talking about, it was actually surprisingly easy, but I think the thing was that a lot of people tried to jump from the second tabletop onto the down slope, which was of the very last jump, which was quite hard. Probably the one thing that I think looking back was the up ramps. They aren't curved up; they're just straight up ramps. It really should have been a down. Like I think they're essentially down ramps, just turn around. But I think, being honest, I think we just ran out of time because we had to make all the jumps there. There was a few jumps left over from the club, just to think like where this came in. So I think in hindsight, if the profile was different, I think it would have been a different story. But I mean, yeah, it sadly was what it was. But I think in general, if you kind of took your time with it, it was okay. So, but obviously I appreciate the top guys are trying to send it, and it did. If you tried to send it too far, it did make you crash. But I think the whole point was for us putting it there was like to make it so like it was a section where you kind of had to, you couldn't push through there. You had to be nice, smooth, consistent, just smooth for it, rather than just trying to send it and then also kind of just slows down the lap times a little bit. Because the big thing now on carpet is the lap times are getting so quick. Even if you have a big track like this, like lap times are still under 20 seconds, and you have 12, sometimes 13 car heats. You know, it gets tough now with the stagger because the guy that starts first, like, even catches up to the guy in last. So I guess that was kind of the reasoning for that, if anyone was interested at all.
Yeah. Another thing, and this one is something for everyone. I think they had a similar type situation at the Florida Carpet Championships. But if somebody ever does a wall ride, this is how you do it. Not the whole steep straight up, very lightly curved, and then around apex. So it's not like an up and down corner; it's around the curve. This is how you do a proper wall ride, and I think it looked really cool in the videos as well. So good job on that.
Yeah.
I think that when I see something like that, I'm always like really keen on. I like it. I don't know what I was going with my words, but yeah, I like it. I like that. Yeah, rest of the jump's quite basic, but I do like the layout overall. I think you guys did a good job. So shouldn't be too stressed out. I think people like it too. I obviously don't know, but I assume people liked it then too.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like, the feedback in general was pretty positive. So, but obviously, like, there'll always be kind of people that have their own opinions, but it is what it is. So I don't know if we should start getting into the results. I actually have the qualifying results in front of me.
Go ahead.
So I'm conscious it's going to be, I can already see this being another crazy long video. So I'll kind of go into it quick. But yeah, so how MKGP is kind of really fast paced. So all the guys only really had 2 practices on track. They might have even been 2 3-minute practices, maybe 4 minutes, and that was all you got. So it's kind of, the UK is something we've always done, just kind of get the meetings going quickly, because our nationals are just, at least with Temscale, like just one day for each class, rather than like maybe in the States or EOS kind of lasts a whole weekend, or they're combined and so on. But it actually started off with Coverbic taking the TQ. So he was running his Schumacher, and he was looking pretty good there. I'm not sure if he was actually running the 5 gear, but like he looked pretty smooth. I think it would have been interesting if Michael was there, because I guess to kind of get into there, like after round 2, it was pretty much a clean sweep from Bartek Zalewski. So something's happened to him, because something's clicked. Because even at EOS, he was, especially in 4-wheel, he was right under the tail of Michael. And here in MK, he's after round 2, he was solid. He took the TQs. And it wasn't even a case of he just got TQ. Like he had a comfortable lead. Like his fastest time was 5 seconds quicker than Daniel's, and even Marcus's as well. So, but your top 10 after qualifying was Bartek in the 1, Daniel in the 2, Marcus in the 3, Ben Smith in the 4, good showing from Ben, Clement Boda in the 5, Mika in the 6, Tommy in the 7, Elias Johannesson in the 8, Jonahan in the 9, Lee Martin 10. I think it was actually 12 car finals. So we had Alexander Landon in 11, and we had a UK driver, Lewis Hopkins, in 12. So he's a Schumacher driver. So congrats to him. But I guess there's a few notables in there. Like I think Ben did pretty well to be 4th. It looks like he had a 2 in round 1. Marcus obviously still there. He had a TQ in round 2 as well, so he started 3rd on the grid. And then, to be fair, Lee making it in 10th. I know last year he missed out, but I guess it's kind of good to see him back in the show. But I guess because there's a few people missing, like Michael, Ongaro, and maybe guys like Bendo and Mohammed, it kind of mixed things up a little bit. But I don't know if you had any thoughts yourself as well from qualifying, from what you observed.
Well, not really. I was a bit surprised, because usually Jona's been pretty good, I feel like, at this event, the times he's gone before. I don't know if he's gone before. I might be wrong, but
he came last year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I feel like he's usually been pretty good. So it was quite a quiet weekend for him, at least in two-wheel drive. Which was, well, to be honest, it was maybe that in the EOS too. He was better in 4-wheel at EOS. Yeah, mostly just surprised by Zalewski, because I feel like at EOS, like, I'm not surprised that he's fast in 4-wheel, but like in the mains, he really climbed up in 2-wheel as well. And here now, like a dominant showing, TQing, and he ended up winning as well. So I feel like that's impressive, because he's like a 4-wheel drive guy, to be good in 2-wheel as well. I feel like that's sort of, you can see that he's clicked.
Yeah, like I feel like someone told me now he lives by the hoodie arena. So obviously he spends a lot more time racing there. I think that's right. If I'm not, someone correct me. So like he obviously spends a lot of time in the hoodie arena, and obviously them having multiple tracks, including the carpet track, obviously helps. But obviously that doesn't take anything away from the skill to, like, he's kind of, because even the Wells, I feel like he had, I think he was really unlucky with the battery thing, because he would have made his first Worlds final. But he's kind of been consistently getting better and better, even at EOS, and obviously we'll go into him as well. But like it was weird at this race, like it wasn't just a case like he like TQ'd and won. Like he did it with a fair margin, and it kind of beat the likes of like Daniel, I think, and Marcus, which I think Daniel gets a little bit overshadowed sometimes with Michael, but obviously definitely Marcus, like he's given Michael one for his money in the past. Like it was quite surprising, like he was able to kind of beat them by a pretty good margin. But obviously the X-Ray looks like a fantastic car, there's no arguing that as well. But obviously even in Bartek's hands, no, he definitely made the most of it.
Yeah, that's something maybe, in a sense, I kind of want to say that, like, like Carib's been underwhelming. But to be honest, when you look at the margin, to everybody, to like, especially to Daniel, Like I feel like that's the impressive. Like that gives the like impressive margin to Zalewski just being good, not that Karup or Daniel really suffered here at this event. So yeah, well done to him. Did you already go? No, we didn't go through the main results. So
yeah, I mean that was qualifying, but we can go into the. I mean, it's a pretty similar story to be fair in the finals, but basically Bartek won the first 2 legs in a pretty convincing style. To be fair, like I'm looking here, he had a 6-7 second lead. Like it looks like on his best time. So, and that's not just a. It sounds like it's just 6-7, but when I'm not even going to make a joke. I'm not even going to make a joke there. I'm not even going to do that to myself. but like to have that lead at the top end is seriously something. So I don't know if we have any footage here. I know it makes the live stream a little bit funny when we show live streams, but like he kind of, you can see here his average lap 19.5, while Daniel's 19.9.1, so 0.4 just straight there on average lap. So he kind of licked the stamp and sent it and dominated really. So I wish I could really say there was more to it. The only other thing you could say that, so Daniel finished in second and local hero Ben Smith the third. So I feel like Ben he's always had some pretty good results at MK, because I know a year or two before he actually won a leg, and I don't know if he was on a podium last year, but he was definitely on the podium that time and obviously this time. So I think Ben's starting to do really well, and he also finally kind of cracked his EOS curse and made the finals. I think he did it in both classes at EOS.
He did both.
Yeah. So I think he's actually he's really starting to pick up on an international scene as now, because he also works with Schumacher now. So, and obviously he does a lot more traveling to the races. So I think he's going to My B Sport this week. So I think it's really good. They're really developing him, and it's great to see, because obviously me being a Englishman, I'd love to see more of our guys do well across the seas. So hopefully maybe next Worlds as well. Hopefully maybe it will be cool to see us in the main or something, but that's obviously a story for another time. But that kind of wraps up really my thoughts on 2-wheel drive, unless I don't know if you had any thoughts yourself, anything you wanted to say from that.
Yeah, not so much. Probably the only thing is like Karup not on the podium. Like that is a bit of a blow to him, I think, considering like I feel like he should be the guy to win every time when Michal is not at the race. Like on paper, like it's a carpet race in Europe. Let's just say 10 scale race in Europe. The winner should be Michal or Marcus. Like 9 out of 10 times is either one of those. And if Michal is not there, then it's supposed to be Marcus. So I feel like that's a little bit of maybe a blow to that sort of status, but it's not like he really cares. I mean, he's a fresh 2-time world champion, and I feel like he's getting much more into 8 scale recently. And it's an 8 scale worlds year. He made the last worlds A main. I'm kind of starting to think that maybe Marcus, like even the same for Michal, he's kind of more focused on touring now than 10 scale. So I feel like maybe they're kind of both of them looking to other classes to compete, because like 10 scale has not been as busy in Europe in the recent years. So it would make sense that way. But that also means that drivers like Zalewski and Ben Smith and Kobovic and guys who are like predominantly 10 scale are going to overcome them pretty quick, which like sometimes it happens already now. So it's a dangerous road, but I guess they have to make a living as well. So I think it's secure to be good at multiple classes then.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I think we see in this day and age. Like Bruno, when he was X-Ray, he was doing pretty much every class other than 12 scale, which I never kind of knew why. But to be fair, he did everything else. Michael's I think it's safe to say Michael's kind of gone more into touring car in the recent years. I think it's kind of a big thing, and I was actually just thinking of that. It's like obviously the ETS EOS series. Like I think they control a lot of the competition, I guess you could say. Like obviously in Europe, and obviously ETS has always been a huge series, and obviously Michael doing that. There's six rounds that every year, while EOS is only, well, traditionally in the last few years has only been one round. Now this year's kind of nice to see that they're doing 2 rounds again, but so I can see like why a lot of the guys are kind of looking at other classes, because it kind of felt like after COVID all the European races kind of went down, because we used to have, I guess what we really have in Europe now, or like after COVID, was kind of MKGP, EOS, but then you used to have there was a big one in the Nordics. I can't remember where they have 2 tracks at the same time.
DHS?
DHI, yeah, that was it. They used to have
Yeah.
Yeah, you used to have DHI, and obviously EOS used to be multiple rounds, and then you had the Mobisport Cup and so on. And I think now, like, basically those 2 events kind of gone straight away. It kind of makes things really small. So I can understand why people go to other classes. I think talking about Marcus here, like being there, I think the main thing that like I noticed from both EOS and MKGP was just, I think mistakes plagued him more than anything. Because there was a few times, like even at EOS, he was on for TQ, and then just a bobble or a mistake kind of cost him. So I don't know if they say it's the post worlds curse, or if it's just kind of just is what it is, and just a few rough events that kind of is what it is. So I guess that's kind of wrapping up my thoughts on 2-wheel drive, and I guess the state of off-road in Europe.
Yeah. All right. So let's go into 4-wheel. Bit of a spoiler, but very similar story at the top, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I really wish I could add more to this, but basically, exact same story in 4-wheel, but this time Bartek did the, I believe it's what Lee calls the something 7, Magic 7 or Lucky 7, where he TQ'd all rounds of qualifying and then won, well, all the five. I think he won the first 2 legs and then decided to watch the last one. But yeah, Bartek again, he absolutely dominated in 4-wheel. I felt kind of bad for Daniel, because Daniel was pushing at 100% to keep up, and he wasn't really making many mistakes either, but just couldn't catch with Bartek. Kind of similar story there. So the overall top 12 was Bartek in a 1, Daniel in a 2, Ben Smith in the 3 with a good show for him again, and then Mika Vidmar in the 4, Ian Hatton in the 5, Marcus in the 6, Elias Johannes in the 7, Lee Martin 8, Tommy Hall 9, Clement Bowler 10, local guy Josh Holsworth in 11, and Johnny Skidmore in 12. So I think that's kind of the people you would expect in that A final, to be fair. I guess a few guys that's missing from there would have been Alexander Landon, from the looks of it. I think he's normally someone that kind of, he's very strong in 2-wheel, I've noticed, and makes most of the A finals at EOS in 2-wheel, but I think but in 4-wheel is a little bit touch and go.
Yeah.
But he's I feel, to be fair, Alexander, he's a kind of guy that I think gets a little bit overshadowed sometimes, because he's a very, very good driver. And I find the guys from the Nordics, I think you'll kind of agree here, is that you guys have way less tracks than what we have. So I feel like to get to a very good level, I would assume less practice is pretty like impressive, I guess. Because like in the UK, like here, like for example, the halls, like we have so many tracks. We can race every weekend if we really wanted to. But I guess for you guys in the Nordics, Finland, Sweden, like I think he was telling me his local track is an hour away, and the next track is like something like 4 or 5 hours away, and it's like a really small indoor track or something like that. He explained it. So I think like I've got to give like a lot of kind of kudos to Alexander on that one. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts kind of are. Like I guess like yourself, like, I don't know if you have many tracks in Finland, like 8 scale or even 10 scale, like, and how you guys kind of do it.
Yeah, we don't, and I do think that's kind of the issue for us. Always been that, like we don't have a lot of opportunities to practice, be it 8 scale because it's winter half of the year, more than half of the year, or then 10 scale. Like there's good facilities in the capital to practice 10 scale during the winter, but we don't really run on carpet. We run on like different surfaces, like indoors, or each carpet what we run on foam at the place. So we don't get to have sort of this level of practice, and I think that's kind of why even like Pekko and well, Jona moved to Germany obviously, and Pekko has switched to touring cars and 8 scale because like that's the only thing that you can kind of easily practice here. So I think it hurts a lot the level, and I think it's better in Sweden and Denmark than for us, I think. But yeah, it's an issue. I think Central Europe is probably the best place for um, getting really good in 10 scale indoors. I mean, UK is good, and I think Poland has a very good scene as well. But like, there's a lot of guys, Slovakia, Czech Republic, all of these. Austria and Germany are really good in tracks as well, in indoors. So I feel like that's why we have a lot of guys coming from there as well, even though before we really never had any fast like 10 scale guys before Orlowski and Bayer maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and I know obviously Eunice moved to Germany kind of for that reason, to be able to practice a bit more as well. Which obviously,
yeah,
I think recently he's had some pretty good results, and that shows.
Yeah, I do think it really helps to have like consistent place to practice. He has never had that, by the way. Like his home club is like they had like this tiniest track ever. I think the year before he moved, they had EOS carpet, but it's still a small track, so it was a bit better than when he started. When he started, it was like it was basically like racing RC cars in a garage. But so it's incredible that he became so good as he is now. But yeah. Okay, so you went through qualifying a full drive, or was that was the ending results, right?
Yeah, so that was qualifying, but I think to be fair, I think finals weren't that much. I don't think, to be honest, were that much different, and so you're actually you're finishing a finalist were obviously Bartek in the one. Again, like he was the only guy averaging 18 second laps, while the other guys were doing like 19 threes, which speaks for itself. Daniel in a 2, Marcus in the 3, so he managed to salvage, I think, something there. Ben in the 4, Elias Johansson in the 5, Mika Vidmaier in the 6, Hadden in the 7, Lee Marlin in the 8, Clement Bowler in the 9, Josh Holsworth in the 10, Tommy Hall in 11, and Johnny Skidmore in 12. So that kind of wraps up the 4-wheel session, to be fair. I wish I could say there was more that happened in 4-wheel, but it really was Bartek just running away a bit, to be honest. His car looked, it just like it was on another level, to be 100% honest with you. It looked like he was even running like below 9-mil ride height, but it just seemed fine on absolutely everything around the track.
Yeah. We have one more thing on our list of MKGP results. The glorious, most prestigious class of all, Stadium Truck, which you ended up winning. So how did that come to be? Was you like Bartek just dominating from the beginning?
Well, as Scotty said, like, well, we're just also going to EOS a little bit, but yeah, I was just a trucker now, really. Well, I mean, yeah, truck kind of started out all right. My car felt really good from the beginning, and then in qualify, I actually started second on the grid. I kind of didn't have the best runs in truck, but started second on the grid. Made some good changes in the final, and then managed to. So in leg 1, it was quite annoying because I was chasing down the leader, which was Matt Peters, teammate of mine, and I felt like I was hounding and starting to essentially make a move, and then my battery died. I put a dead battery in, which was a bit annoying.
Okay.
But yeah, then managed to salvage leg 2 and 3, and managed to get the win in both of them to take the overall win. So I mean, it's
Damn.
only a truck, obviously, but yeah, it's pretty good bragging rights to say that I won MKGP, sorta. That being a one truck,
Hey,
not the actual.
a
but-
win is a win.
I mean, yeah, exactly. A win's a win. I finally got like a shout out on the Team Associated page as well, which is pretty cool. But I was actually running the new T7, and it honestly was a really good car. Like just straight out the box, I think all I did was just put the alloy bell cranks on it, and kind of was on its way. The car was really good. I really liked it actually over the T6.4. So yeah, I can't really complain. To be fair, like a pretty cool weekend in truck. Sorry, so no complaints there. Got the W, so I'll go down in history as an MK winner in truck.
Hey, a win is a win, you know. Nothing less. All right, so I think that wraps up MKGP for now. And I'm thinking we are moving on to EOS then, I guess.
Yeah, I think let's finally get into the elephant in the room, which is EOS.
Yeah. So held in Daun, Germany from January 22nd to 25th. I think coming into this race, Associated had just released the B7.1. The Schumacher team had that new fancy 3D printed prototype gearbox. X-Ray sending pretty much only Zalewski. Like Bayer was there, yes, but it's not like Bayer has been like the top guy on carpet for a while now. So I kind of feel like it was Zalewski versus everyone for the X-Ray guys. And then Aiden Horn coming all the way from America to Europe to race, went to practice with Jona and those guys for a week or so before making his way to his first EOS event. Who else? I think Elliot Boots went over as well from the UK. It was quite a packed EOS, I'd say. Yeah, we was missing someone like Ungaro, who has been there once in a while. But yeah, it was a really packed EOS. I think, and in terms of entries, it was full. I think you guys were running late into the night with the rounds, right?
Yeah, so like I think every year it always seems to be record entries there. So it was like you said. I think pretty much every like top guy was there, other than a few, like you said, like Ongaro. I think only really Ongaro. I'm trying, but I know he's generally like more. I know he is a previous world champion, but he's obviously more of an 8 scale guy, I think, realistically. But but yeah, like really good EOS as usual. Just like really long days is the main thing. Like it always seems to be the case. It was pretty cool to have Aiden here, like because the Americans don't seem to make the trip as often. I don't know. I can obviously speak for Associated, but maybe why. But I know like I think it would be kind of cool to see more Americans come to EOS. I know now a lot of the Europeans go to Florida, but it'd be kind of cool to see just like some of the kind of see the opposite happen, where some of these guys come to EOS. So because I know for Aiden, he was saying like the feel is completely different because EOS carpet has generally a bit more give in the carpet, while on the USR tracks it seems like you have a bit more of a direct feel on their types of carpets. I hope I'm remembering that as how he said it. But yeah, this is like just a staple event now every year. Like in Germany, it's pretty cool that everyone kind of stays on site generally. So everyone kind of goes and has a drink and a bit of food after the races. Like everyone kind of accumulates in the bar. But because it's getting so late now, the racing, that actually doesn't really happen as much anymore. And I mean, this is a whole topic in itself, and maybe you'll kind of agree here. But I feel like a few years ago, a lot of the enjoyment of RC racing was like the social side, like where you would go out for food and maybe a few drinks and stuff afterwards. But it kind of seems like now that doesn't really happen as much. I know like racing's got more serious, so I don't know if that's part of it, or just maybe the young guys like they're not as bothered about drinking. I'm not trying to say drinking's the whole world and the best world, but it's obviously a social side to it. I hope you kind of see where I'm coming from with that.
I do. I think it's just the days are longer. I think that's just all it is, to be honest. Because I remember the same when I started going to EOS in 2014, maybe 2014. Yeah, it was like you started at maybe 8 or 9. They ended at like 6, 7 at latest. And then 2 years forwards, started at 7:30 in the morning. Last run of qualifying ends at 10 in the night. Like totally insane. It was like horrible. And now they stretched the program to 4 days to account for that to not happen as bad. But I feel like it's still almost as bad, to be honest. Like the days are getting longer and longer again, and it's just I think you just either you gotta like just run one class, like so just run 2-wheel drive, or then you just gotta cap the entries. Like there's just no other way to make the program shorter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the longer days is like a double-edged sword in a sense, because yes, it is long days, and I know a lot of people like sometimes decide not to do EOS because of that. But I also kind of think it's kind of like part of it. Like it's just a race that's like almost 16-hour days. It's kind of like Cyclo Nitro Blast. It's just part of it. Like the days are just really long. You're in the hall with like so many people, and it's a really good chance to meet people and see old friends and so on. And obviously the tracks are really good as well. So I kind of think part of it is just how it is. And I guess like, yeah, like they do limit entries, which is a thing. And believe there were like a big reserve list even after.
Even now. Okay.
Yeah, even now there was a huge reserve list because they capped entries. I guess like the only thing you could do is maybe just make it back to like modified and remove stock and maybe truck, which obviously I'll be pretty sad about. But but obviously if that's the way they get everyone in, then fair enough. But then I guess like it's nice to have the extra classes, I guess, because I know a lot of people do stock because it's a little bit easier to drive. Maybe they feel it's a class they can maybe do a little bit better in, and so on. So I guess it's a whole discussion and tangent in itself, but I think the way they do it is kind of the best to keep everyone happy. But obviously, the only people that won't be happy are the people that just don't get in, and like that's just the only bad thing, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of an age-old thing. Like same with Neo. I think they tried to cap it, and it was basically like the DHI Cup. I remember the worst time was it sold out in like 5 minutes or something. So there was like hundreds of people who couldn't get in. Like it was really hard to just get in to the event, because they capped it at pretty like it wasn't low, to be honest. They had hundreds of people there, but it was much lower than what we're used to these days. So it's kind of a tough one to solve for the end when it's like people want to go, but you just like can't have that many people there. But all right, let's get to this event a bit more. I have a picture of the track. We're gonna start with looking at some of the features on the track. I'd say this was the most technical EOS track we've had. Well, maybe technical is the wrong word. I'd say like busy, like the busiest EOS track we've had in a few years, because I feel like there was an obstacle in pretty much every single place, and none of the corners were like easy ones. Like all of them had either a long apex or then like a switchback or something like that, where you had to be really careful with your line, be really quick reacting. It seemed like a very hectic track to drive on, but then again, it didn't seem like too difficult to drive around because people weren't making that many mistakes in the end. It seemed all pretty like calm, but then like a small mistake became really costly.
Yeah, I kind of think it was that, to be fair. I don't think the track was actually that difficult at all. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's end of the straight, then you have that big sort of double, and you're essentially doing a 180, then a double, 180, then a double. So it's nothing, and then you kind of go a hump away from you, and then I guess you only like, you can say the tough bits to get right were like those, they're not step downs, but they're like, I guess rollers. I guess they're rollers because you kind of jumped into the face of each one. But then if you sent it too hard, you'd kind of get your car would land really unsettled, and then you wouldn't be on the right line. But I feel like that was where you would make or break kind of the time really through those sections. And then that last double before the straight, because you want to downslope it and then just get on the power straight away. But if you obviously overshoot it or undershoot it, you're going to lose time either way there. But I think those were the only two bits I'd say were hard about the track. But I actually thought it was one of the better. I mean, every year I think they make really good tracks. But I thought this was like one of the really good tracks they've done. It was really nice and easy. It was nice to get into a flow. It wasn't crazy difficult, but it had elements where you could make time, you could push hard. I overall think it was a good track. And like you said, not many people were making mistakes, to be fair, as in because of the track. Obviously, everyone makes mistakes. But like, I thought it was a generally pretty good. I thought it was a really good, smooth, flowing track. I really liked it.
Yeah. The flow of the track looked really good. I feel like watching like when, for example, Michael go around the track when he was leading, he looked like really comfortable, and it seemed like very nice and flowing when he was going around the track. The thing though that I do have to critique a bit was that there was not a single spot where you could like reliably overtake, and I think it's like this is something I would like to maybe. So sort of a challenge for, I think Powell is the one who designs this still, from Restars. So to try to design like a section or like combination of sections which would open the possibility for overtakes. Like for example, if you look at the end of the straight, you have a left, like even if you get it on the inside at the end of the straight, you're gonna be on the outside on the next corner, so you kind of have to back off basically. And then if you get it inside on the after the big double, you're on the outside for the next one. I guess the only way to like make an overtake would be to get on the inside, like on the landing of the big double, but that kind of requires the car in front to make some form of mistake. I think it's this is sort of the best part of overtaking on this track, but at the same time it's like very risky part to overtake, which I think is the issue. And then the back section, obviously no way of overtaking there. Rollers actually not a bad part, but then again it felt like a lot of drivers were really fighting with the limit on how far you can push those rollers or jump, how far into the faces of the rollers you can jump. So I don't think that really opened up a possibility for any overtakes. And the left-hand side is really like clustered, so no space there. So I feel like it watching the mains is was kind of like waiting for the driver in front to make a mistake, which often is carpet racing anyway. But I feel like this is something that would need to be addressed in the tracks of the future that we do on carpet. But it's difficult, I know. But yeah, just something to think of for next year, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like the thing, and it kind of comes back to what I was kind of saying earlier, where like I think it's really hard to make a track which, firstly, like especially for off-road, isn't just like a few, just like an on-road track with just a couple jumps. And then I think it's one thing to make it like the opposite, where it's off, where like you have actual jumps and features where it actually makes it feel like off-road. And then I guess the middle is then kind of like making it raceable, because I know kind of one thing we had when designing the MKGP track was like a lot of we had a couple kind of guys just look at it, like let's say industry professionals or people who work in industry, to kind of get a few feelers. And some of the people are saying that because there's too many features, there's no overtaking spots. I kind of feel like this is a double-edged sword, because I think if the track's too flat, then it just becomes an on-road race. But then I actually think sometimes having the features mean that it gives a chance for someone to like maybe push out wide a little bit or not land right or make a mistake, which then causes an overtake to happen. And I kind of, and that's kind of how I feel like it is something. It means that you have to be consistent on all the features and the jumps, as well as just on like the racing line, if that makes sense. Because obviously it's kind of like what you see of on road generally, unless the person is like goes really wide or actually is a lot slower. It's like, is that you don't really see much overtaking. Like whenever I watch some of the ETS videos, like if Michael's on TQ or Ronald or whatever, I feel like most of the time they're just going to win just because it's like that. And I think the thing of on road, because there's that element of jumps and features, there is more randomness to it, and I guess it then caused that mistake. But then I guess the other thing is that then, like you're saying, most overtakes then happen because of someone making an error in front rather than like someone putting a really good move on someone. But I guess that's just such a fine line to make it to fix all those problems, I guess, in one track.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think sort of what I'm after is having like a section that sets up for a pass, you know. I remember we talked about this last year as well. Like I feel like that front jump section was pretty good for that. And we had like Ronefalk try those passes on Orlowski last year, which ended up in collision, sure, but at least he could set up that pass. And I feel like sort of perfecting the sort of possibility of going a little bit wide off of a jump with a corner that really like opens up the possibility of overtaking. I think that's sort of what we want in a track, that we want the obstacle to be in a place where you can have a little bubble and someone can get like close enough to pull a move in the next corner, or like try to direct you on a different line so you can pull a move in the next corner. And I think that's sort of the thing that in carpet racing is really necessary. In dirt racing, like it's much easier to go away from the line and lose grip. Like a lot of the corners happen, a lot of the passes happen so that somebody goes offline and you get dust and you go a little bit slippery, and then the other car has the chance to get back at you. But on carpet, doesn't happen because the grip is everywhere. The grip is on the, outside of the line. There is not this like narrow section where you can like go and like challenge the guy to like go wide and then have a pass after that. But I'll try to pull up a little bit of video of the track. I really do hope that we get some get it working well. So just so you guys can see a bit of the layout, how it drives. So we have a video from Q1. I think actually Karab was fastest in practice, which is a bit surprising because, well, let's say not surprising, but like considering the end result, probably not something that made a lot of sense. Because I feel like Orlowski was at the end of the weekend, or like the end of Tool Drive, by far the strongest guy. Yeah, I don't know how this is for you, Will, but the video quality, but I feel like here you can see how the track kind of flows. And I feel like this section was the most difficult for a lot of guys. That right-hander after the double, I feel like a lot of guys grip rolled right there. And then, like you said, this one, the stairs or whatever you call it, the step offs on the height. But yeah, really nicely flowing track, to be honest.
Yeah, like that right-hander there where just went. It felt like you had to carry a lot more speed for it than you thought, because at least initially for me, like I tried to do it all in one turn and like just kept clipping the barrier. But then you kind of realize that if you carry more speed, you can obviously kind of arc it. But yeah, like see this bit here through Clemens going. It was quite difficult because you didn't need a lot of power to clear those 2 jumps. So like you obviously wanted to land and then stay on the inside and then let the 180 tight and then do the next jump. So it was kind of, you're trying like, especially with all the power you're running, like you're trying to not to go too crazy on it. But I think like once you kind of learned it, it was right. And I think these, let's call it step downs, I thought they worked really well, to be fair. It kind of made you like not be able just to send it fully through there, but it also kind of made you like kind of realize, okay, I've got to like chill out and be like precise for it rather than just full power.
Yeah, I feel like they really added to the track a lot. And one thing I really enjoyed was the corner tabletops where it's not like the inside pipe is not like a 90-degree corner, but you have like the end of it cut out. So you can kind of cut the tabletop a bit if you're like risky, but then like the only thing I would change is probably make the pipe like round at the end. But I think that kind of thing works really well, because if you get the closer the pipe you get, the more you can sort of like maintain speed, but then it gets more risky the closer you go, obviously. So yeah, I think that style for corner tabletops is like the best, because I feel like those corner tabletops where you have to jump on and then drive off, it kind of kills the flow a lot. But this one you can like cut the tabletop like and jump to the landing from the previous one. So I feel like that's the most flowing way to do a corner tabletop, and I really like it. It's kind of like Miguelo-esque from, his H-scale tracks. He does those a lot.
Yeah, I agree with them. Like, I think clubs are slowly starting to do that as well. It kind of messes with you, because like that, the second one, like you almost like don't feel like, you feel like the car's just going to grip roll through it, but then obviously your car doesn't. And it's nice because you can just cut it. And also I think it causes less mistakes for people, which means that people crash on it less and they don't get in your way or whatever. So I think it's really cool. I know the argument said, like use like a tiny bit of the tabletop, but I think it's cool. I think it's a really good choice nonetheless, and just adds to the flow of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you can also make the tabletop a bit smaller. So like you don't have to use the whole, like even this one, it's basically a triangle on the top of the tabletop. So it also takes up less space if you're having a place where you need space. I feel like it's, as a design, it's a bit better that way. I kind of enjoy it more in every way, last week. And it looks better too, I feel.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. So I think now we've looked at the track, I guess, should we go into qualifying?
Yeah, let's move forwards to the racing side. But before we do that, I'm gonna play a few ads because here at the NNRC podcast we gotta pay some bills, and we're gonna take a little break with Will during the ads, so we can get a little bit of the drink. So because it's tough recording for 3 hours straight. So I'll be rolling a few ads and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance A-scale, 10-scale, Nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
BeachRC.com, the racer's one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, S-Works, Pro Circuit Racing tires, Nitro Lux fuels, and Assault RC performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
All right, and we're back. One more ad read to go, or no, we have one more video to go, because this race recap segment is brought to you by ML Toys. So we'll go through that ad and start our recap. But I am very sorry because I don't seem to find it here. All right.
Are you looking to take your ride-on car to the next level? ML Toys makes it easy with plug-and-play modifications like motors, speed and brake controls, and more. ML Toys is the one-stop shop to make your ride-on car the coolest car in the neighborhood.
All right. Get one of those, because if I was a kid and had that, that would have been so cool. Well, I had ATVs as a kid, so I guess that was cool as well. But I feel like for very small kids, that's like so cool. I've seen videos where kids like run those, like race with those across like the cul-de-sac or whatever, and looks really cool. Everybody wants to be that kid. So yeah, if you're interested in that, if you have kids, I don't think they make versions for adult-sized ML toys, or like ride-on vehicles. So you kind of have to have kids, or just be really skinny or like tiny, and you could be fine. I could probably fit in one of those because I'm really short. But yeah, go check them out. Cool stuff. Two-wheel drive qualifying EOS 2026. Round one starts with a bang. Elias Johansson goes TQs out of freaking nowhere. Like, sure, he's been in the top 5 before. Sure, he's made the main countless of times already. But man goes in TQs round one, like pretty comfortably. Kobevic goes TQ in Q2. Does really well in there. And then Orlowski is just like, okay, guys, I'm here now, and absolutely dominates the rest of the qualifying, taking comfortably the last 2 rounds. Let me see. I feel like the margin was too pretty considerable. So, well, actually, not really. In Q3, he was quite close to Karup, but I think Q4 was, Q4 was when he kind of just looked well in control, and took the TQ overall. Kubovic with his TQ in round 2 and a second in the last round puts him second on the grid, with Johansson having a first in the first round, a third in the second round, puts him in third on the grid. Karup with a pair of seconds in fourth, and then a shout out to Tommy Hall. A very good showing indeed in qualifying, in fifth after the two-wheel drive qualies. I feel like the top 3 was like in that order, probably the order of qualifying. I feel like Karup had the speed to be DQ, but I watched him on the live, and like every time they filmed him, it was like, okay, he's gonna crash soon. Like it looked like he's gonna crash all the time, and he did most of the time. If I'm totally honest with you, he made a lot of mistakes, but he ended up salvaging a fourth on the grid. But yeah, Tommy, I think he was in a B sort too. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like from the practice he was in the B sort.
I'll actually be able to tell you.
Yeah, he was in the B group. So really good qualifying for him. And like, I feel like EOS has kind of been the Achilles heel of a lot of UK guys. Like they do really well in the UK. They do really well at MKGP. Some of them even do well at Florida Carpet Championships. But then I feel like EOS has often been like, they just get stomped on by the Eastern Europeans and the Nordics. So really good showing for Tommy. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like I think I can answer for the UK guys. Like I think we actually were talking about this all the time. It's like, even though we have tracks, we find it's really hard to kind of test for EOS, because our tracks are on normally like older EOS carpet, Our track layouts are a lot more like tighter to try and make use of the space. And like the jumps in general are just different. So I know this probably all sounds like excuses, because I know I was talking about Alexander earlier on, who like did pretty well with pretty much nothing, and obviously Una. But I think we always struggle on that side because the tracks are just so much more different. Like we always go there and like we feel like we're so ready, and then our cars just feel completely different. I don't know if it's like stuff to do like the floor being heated or the carpet, or just how like they do it. But I think for us, it's always like that's something we've always really struggled with. I don't know if it's like because the tracks are just more open, but you have space to actually make a track from it rather than being super tight. So I guess that's me trying to think of excuses for the UK guys.
Yeah, but no, it was the same for us, because I remember when I used to go to the EOS races, we had EOS carpet at my home club, but it was basically like you made your car really good, really fast at your home track, and then went to the EOS and it was horrible. It didn't work at all. And you kind of had to revert to a very basic setup, and then it was like, okay, this works again. So a lot of the times, like we did that once or twice, that we kind of went to EOS, learned stuff, brought it back home, then improved on it, and then went back, and again it didn't work there. And then we was just kind of like, you need to have an EOS setup and the setup at home, even though it's the same carpet. Temperature plays a big role. I know for a fact, because we had a this building that was very poorly heated. So when the outside temperature rose, you could immediately feel like after a few days that let's say it was freezing outside, and then it became non-freezing. You could feel that like 2-3 degrees could like make you a lot faster. And warmer is usually better for us, if anyone's interested. And yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think it kind of works against you in a way, because, for example, like Jona, he went to EOS, had the EOS car, EOS setup, went back home to drive on this slippery concrete floor. So, like, he doesn't drive the same car as he drives in the EOS. He has a completely different car that is set up for this like dirt type of grip level, and that's what he practices. So when he goes to EOS, it's basically like he starts from where he left off the last time, and like he hasn't like confused his mind about this is how I need to drive or whatever, because it doesn't matter how he drives on dirt, because it's not going to be the same on the carpet. So in some ways, I at least felt myself that when I did the same thing, I did better at EOS, because I differentiated between home and the place that I'm going to, because there's no point testing, like it's different. So why test? So you test in for your own conditions, and then you test at EOS for the EOS conditions. And I think in a weird way, even though we have technically the worst conditions, it helped a lot of the Finnish guys go really fast at EOS for a few years before the COVID, when we had Jona and even Pekka, I think, making a few appearances in mains, and Joel Wallander, who used to drive, and Karri, I think, made a few mains at EOS. So yeah, it is counterintuitive, but I do think there is a point in the excuses.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. But
yeah. So obviously going down the list, X-Ray, very poor showing in two-wheel drive qualifying. Neumann was driving an X-Ray, as far as I know. I think he was in both classes on an X-Ray, at least it had been before. And Zalewski was 8th, Neumann in 9th. And well, we can go through the list. Boda was in 6th with Jona in 7th, in front of the Zalewski and Neumann, and then Ben Smith in 10th, and Landen sneaking in a main in 11th. A few names to mention: Horn, 13th out of the main; Noha Ben Mohammed, 15th out of the main; Burak Ilic in 17th, also obviously not making the main; and then Elliot Boots in 21st. To be honest, I'm not expecting Elliot Boots to make anything specific, but obviously it's wild to see, multiple-time European champion in the B main every time it happens. But I feel like Elliot has good runs in 10 scale when it's not on carpet. Like when it's on Euros, for example, he's done oftentimes really well. But for some reason, I don't feel like he's gelling with running 10 scale on carpet stuff. But don't really know what it's about.
I just feel like now, like on carpet, it's just a game of like how hard can you push and how much steering can you get and how much and like I feel like all like the youngsters do really well, because if you're actually looking at top 10, like there's no one like that's like for example Elliot's age. I don't think there was anyone in it. They're all like, I think maybe the oldest guy might have quite literally been like Newman in that final. And I think it's like you have to be a certain type of driver on carpet, because it's weird, because whenever I see like these guys at EOS or whatever, and then like you go to Euros or Worlds, and like some of these kids, like where they're like maybe BC final or EOS, then like at Worlds or like Euros where it's like on dirt, they're like the complete opposite. So I just think, I mean, obviously, this again probably a long tangent in itself, but like carpet, I think just doesn't sometimes make the best drivers. I think in some ways, like for high grip, obviously, yeah, but like for low grip, I think it's like the kids just get like, I see that they start to drive more aggressive. They kind of take more, let's say, ambitious overtakes. I guess you can put that in a nice way, and obviously a lot more takeouts happen. But I think that's just the nature of carpet. But obviously, someone like Elliot, like he's made A finals at Euros, at 10 scale Euros before. He's actually I believe he's won a few UK nationals in the past as well. So I think not to kind of cut him some slack, but I think it's a carpet thing. Like I think you see like all sorts of drivers like really good on carpet and really good on actual dirt or low grip. I think carpet is just kind of like its own thing almost at this point. It's kind of why like now you see like in America they have like a off-road national championships and that. Well, I know they have. I mean, like a dirt national championship and then like a carpet national championship.
Yeah, I do think it's very different. I think it's not necessarily a bad direction to take, to have like separating the two. I don't know if you need own nationals for both, but I do think like it's good to. I mean, it would be the best to like for all of the drivers to be very versatile, but then there's a lot of, not everyone can live everywhere. Like there's some areas where they just don't have that possibility. And for example, in Europe, like some people have an Astro track. Most people probably have an Astro track, and very, very few people have a dirt track available to them. So it's not really something that maybe cannot be so easily solved for us Europeans. And for Americans, I think it's easier to be good on both than for us, because like most of us have one option, and it's, well, let's say two options, Astro or carpet, and that's pretty much it. Okay, moving into the mains then, I guess. Orlowski takes it into finals. I'd say he pretty much like just strolls to the win. Like it looked like a Sunday drive. I guess Kobevic was close once in a while, but it never looked like there was any risk of Orlowski not winning in my books. Karup pushes a lot and makes a lot of mistakes, but ends up getting still on the podium somehow. I feel like Kobevic like kind of fumbled A3. Obviously, he started from second, and he was leading, and then it was right at the end, I feel, when he had a mistake or something, letting Marcus through. And Marcus ended up winning A3, which bumped him onto the podium in front of. Actually, the interesting thing is, I think it would have been it would have been Marcus even without that, because Elias had a terrible time in the last final. But behind Marcus, it was Zalewski from all the way from, I think it was 8th on the grid, in front of Jona, who was on 7th on the grid. So these two really, really came up the field in the first main, putting in 3rd and 4th. And then in the last main, Jona came up 4th as well. I guess in the mains, the only one really getting the short end of the stick was Elias Johansson, who dropped from 3rd to 6th. But to be honest, I would say it was kind of like his own mistakes that really cost him. It was the first main and the last main where he really had a tough one both times, making own mistakes and dropping back, dropping back in the field quite a bit. Other than that, most of these guys stayed pretty much somewhat where they started. I guess it's still a good showing for guys like London and Smith for making the main, and then Hall and Boda in 7th and 8th. I guess that's a good thing to take home, but yeah. Tool drive. Well, I think EOS in general, the mains weren't that exciting, partly because Orlowski really ran away with it, which kind of spoiled the fun for the mains a lot.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like I think as well because it was Daniel starting in 2nd, maybe rather maybe for example Bartos or Marcus. Like I think it kind of gave Michael a little bit of comfort that he knew that because obviously they're gonna Daniel obviously as much as he would want to win, he obviously knows that he's not going to take his teammate out. I don't mean that as in like the other guys would, but like you have more respect for your teammate when it's like someone else on another team.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think he kind of had that. I think he had that comfort in the back of his head that he wasn't going to try anything desperate and risk obviously them two losing. So
yeah,
like I think that was part of it, which was kind of good, and for him, and then obviously Marcus. I think if Marcus started 2nd, it would have made things a bit more interesting for sure.
For sure.
But obviously Marcus salvaged 3rd, which don't want a podium at least. So he was able to get something from 2 Will.
Yeah, and kind of going for all Schumacher podium to at least having Marcus there, and then Bartos getting 4th in the end, kind of balanced out, I guess, in the end. Maybe it could be that X-Ray and AE guys found something in the mains that helped them a bit, because at the beginning of qualifying it looked like only the Schumachers were doing good for a while, and in the end, yeah, they got 1-2 out of it, so really good showing for them, and especially with having some of those new prototype parts. That being said, I think AE was still the most used car in the main. AE the most used car in the main, I think. So good job for the AE team. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the tool drive at the end of the show. I got a few things to show you guys, but I think now we just move to 4-wheel, right?
Yeah, I think let's just go straight into 4-wheel.
Yeah, so in 4-wheel, a little bit of a different story, I guess, in qualifying, because Orlowski started out fast, but it was then Zalewski who took the fastest time in the second round of qualifying up until that point. So Zalewski actually put a really good challenge on Orlowski during qualifying. Kobevic even ended up snatching a TQ in Q3. So it was basically a 3-way fight for the TQ going into the last one, with Zalewski holding the fastest overall time. So this basically meant that, Orlowski or Daniel would have to TQ either of them to dethrone Zalewski. And Michal ended up TQing the last round pretty convincingly, in fact, taking, in the end, the fastest time over qualifying. So really good run for him. Zalewski wasn't that far behind, but really just couldn't match Michal's pace. So in the end, Orlowski, Zalewski, Kobevic with the top 3. And then Jona in 4th. For some reason, I feel like Karup has been good in 2-wheel, struggling in 4-wheel, and for Jona, it's been the opposite. for let's say the past year or so. Like there's a lot of events where it has kind of went this way, where they kind of struggle in different classes, and I have really no idea why. But it's been interesting to follow that. Like especially Karup, I feel like he's really struggled with the AE 4-wheel, except for the Worlds, which he won, obviously. But in a lot of races, like I feel like was it Euros last year? I feel like he had a really poor showing in 4-wheel, and here, Karup actually did not even make the main. So it was Jona in 4th and Karup in 13th. So really poor showing for Marcus, and really good showing for Jona, I guess, because I think there was him, Horn, Boda, and Hall in the main. So 4 cars in the main. Sure, that's still a good number. But at the same time, Horn, Boda, and Hall, the last 3 cars make it in the main. A few names that are different from this one. So obviously Karup out of the main. Same thing with Landon. So Horn is the one who made the main that didn't in 2-wheel. And another one is Noha Ben Mohammed, who had a little bit disappointing 2-wheel, but a decent qualifying in 4-wheel, qualifying 8th. Interestingly, Jorn made both of the mains, which I don't think has happened in a while. So good run for him. Some drivers still that I thought were out of place. I said London and Karup, but Kilic, the winner last year, they had, from what I understand, they broke the car and didn't have some parts and left because of that. But I'm not entirely sure if that's true on like what happened. But basically, no matter what was the reason, they left after 4-wheel drive practice, didn't attend qualifying at all. So not an ideal EOS defense for Burak, but I mean, I can understand that it's still a new car. I'm not entirely sure if I buy the explanation of not having some part, because the practice didn't seem to go too well for them. So don't really know what was up, but a bit of a disappointing one for them nonetheless.
Yeah, like I didn't actually see their runs, but I heard the same story. He was just, Burak was there 1 minute and then the next minute he wasn't. So I don't know if I know that car actually isn't released yet. So I mean, it is completely plausible that he didn't have the right parts or they didn't have, enough parts. But yeah, like a bit of a shame because it would have been cool to see how that 4-wheel would have done throughout the event. But I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can understand that if they're, because I from what I believe, they probably went there with Berkan, just the 2 of them, and that's all they had. But still a bit odd, to be honest. But I can understand it. It's when you have like a prototype, it can actually happen. There's been times when it's been really close for me as well, that you just don't have something, and if it breaks, you're done. But yeah, that kind of qualifying for 4-wheel drive. In terms of any takeaways, not really much. I guess Micha, one driver that you would expect there, obviously Marcus as well. But apart from that, pretty much everybody who usually makes it in made it in. So good on that. So yeah, let's go into the finals. First final, Michael kind of strolls into the victory again. I kind of feel like Bartas was less of a contender to Michael than Kobovic was in 2-wheel drive, which doesn't make sense, but like at least 4-wheel drive to me looked much more straightforward for Michael. A2 was tight. A2 was tight for sure. But in A1, Zalewski made a mistake, I believe right at the beginning, to be honest. And then that allowed Michael to just stroll through the victory. in front of Kobevic. A2, this was the one I think was the best sort of racing out of the weekend, but Bartek just couldn't make any move like stick, or didn't really properly try a move. But I mean, there wasn't really a space that opened up for him to try a move. So yeah, it was done in 2. Michael locked in the win. And A3, it was basically that Bartek just ran away with it. Like took off the line, won it clean. I think sort of those two was miles above the field in 4-wheel at the end. Like during qualifying, yeah, I know Kobevic got that TQ, but in the mains, I feel like it was only Zalewski and Orlowski who could really win this thing. Yeah, I feel like maybe if Zalewski hadn't crashed in A1, it could have been more interesting because he could have been taking more risks fighting against Michal. But in A2, he kind of had to have that result come through because he had a bad A1. So maybe even himself, he didn't want to risk it all for an overtake that would most likely end up in a collision. But yeah, what do you think? How did he look on track? Because like watching online, it kind of seemed like nobody was even close to these two.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Like Michael and Bartos were like kind of in a league of their own. I oddly thought, you might not be able to see it in camera, but I oddly thought Bartek's car in a real life kind of looked a bit, it was almost like sliding a little bit on power, which is really weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't look like fully, it almost felt like he was driving on top of the car rather than like the car kind of doing more of the work. That made sense. But I think you're right there. Like I know these guys race a lot back home, and Bartek obviously was trying to pull everything he could. Like it looked like Bartek had to drive at like 110% to keep up, but he was like when he was at that 100% and nailed everything. I think probably was faster than Michael in those finals, but obviously Michael was leading, so he's not going to be pushing the same way you would if you're in second.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
like, which obviously makes sense. So I think like Bartek did everything he could, but sadly wasn't meant to be. But I think it was pretty. Yeah, I think Una as well looks like has some good finals, 2 3s to finish third. Una always seems to do really well with the 4 wheels on carpet, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell. I don't know how the hell he does it, because it seems like a lot of the team. I know a lot of our guys kind of, like especially the UK guys, we've always put more focus on 2-wheel and 4-wheel just because that's all we race on. But it looks like Una's always been like really strong in 4-wheel. Like for some, even at Hoodie Arena, he was really strong in 4-wheel. Obviously, previous EOSs. I wanted to say Worlds, but I think he was in the B for that. But generally, he's got a pretty good track record with 4-wheel. But I think of that,
on high
like,
grade,
kind of. Yeah, exactly. I think the rest kind of like was kind of what you would expect. I think it was good to see Ben again in EA. Elias is kind of like a regular EOS A finalist now. Ben, I think Noah, after a rough 2-wheel drive, good to see him in the show. And obviously Jorn, he's obviously running X-Rays, so it seems like he's a bit more comfortable with those cars, I think, for sure. Seeing Aiden, to be honest, I was thought to see Aiden in a final in 2-wheel rather than 4-wheel, but he's done good to get it done there in 4-wheel, and then Clement and Tommy in 10 and 11. So probably not the best finals of those two towards the end, but I think that's kind of, pretty standard what you'd think from EOS. Like, I don't think there was anyone there, like no kind of new A finalist, I guess you could say. Like obviously Marcus in the B wasn't the best, but I know there's a few guys, for example, like Mika in the B as well, but again, there's only so many spots in the A final, and you only get 4 runs to try to get 2 runs. So unfortunately, so I think for Mika, he was like an E final for 2-wheel, I think, or something. So obviously for him, EOS was kind of a bit of a wipe off for him, I think.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say about Aiden, I do think, one thing is I do think he's oftentimes better in 4-wheel. Like at least when I notice him, I feel like he's more competitive against his teammates in four wheel. But also, I think one big reason that four wheel was better could just be that he's getting used to the conditions and the track. Because obviously, for all of these other guys, they know like the track shape is weird. They know the jump faces because it's the same kind of jumps every year. They know the carpet really well, so they have sort of a muscle memory built on this type of stuff. So it's easier to learn the layout and the flow and everything. So for Aiden, I think it's just like getting more used to it. Helps him like perform at his like own level. So I think that could be one reason why he's in the main in four wheel, even though he's didn't make it in two wheel. So yeah. You have anything to add before we go into winners and losers and some gossip I have for us here?
No, I think that's kind of. I think that's all really. To be fair, that's all she wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. So, congrats to Orlowski, Zalewski, I guess Kobovic and Kerup and Hartonen for their podiums and stuff. And we're gonna go into picking out winners and losers. It's a bit dull this time because I don't feel like there was so big winners and losers this time. But we're gonna do it anyway, and then I have some juicy gossip for you guys in the end, which Will is legally obliged not to disclose too much of. He's and Will has not informed me of any of this, so please don't accuse him of leaking information outside of the team, because it's about Associated, and I have done some research myself. But yeah, the winners and losers are brought to you by Sidewinder Fuels. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with many of the world's top drivers for 35 years. This has enabled us to test our fuels in many of the most challenging situations and take the development of competition fuels to the next level. The result is Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel is track tested and proven by national and world champions, including Ryan Cavalieri, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Pavidis, and Phi Long Gwen, as well as many more. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for the high performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. No Sidewinder going to these electric cars, but especially for the glory that is Nitro, get some of that in your hands. The Sidewinder fuel. All right, let's start with brands. So I have in my list here winners: Schumacher, for obvious reasons, taking double win in two-wheel drive, winning four-wheel drive. Kovic, strong showing in both classes, and Johansson also both classes strong showing. And I think, if I'm not totally wrong, it could be that Schumacher had the most cars in the main and four wheel. I'm trying to count in my head that how many they did, but in two wheel it was Associated. In four wheel, I think it actually in four wheel it might have been Schumacher was the most used car in the main, or then it was tied with Associated. So there was
because there was Michael, Ben Noah, Ben Smith, and Kovacic. So I think they were actually the most cars in the main.
So Michael, Elias, Noah, Ben, Kovacic. Yeah, they had 5 cars in the main, so they must have been because there was 2 X-rays. So yeah, 2 most cars in the main and 4-wheel, double win in 2-wheel. Yeah, I think the obvious winners of this EOS. In the losers bracket, I have Mugen and S-Works for the reasons that S-Works no mains whatsoever. And it did seem like they sent drivers there. It wasn't like nobody went. All of their current top drivers went, but no mains. Misha was close in 4-wheel, so I'll give him that. But I feel like it's a step back for them for sure. I feel. And then Mugen skipping the whole four-wheel drive portion because not having parts, no mains in two-wheel, which I believe Burak did the last time he was here. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he made the main in two-wheel as well. Or at least he had some good showings in individual rounds. So yeah, not a great showing for them. And in Schmedium, I have X-Ray and Team Associated. X-Ray and Schmedium because they still got, like, with a very small team, very good results. And Associated because yes, they got podiums, so they're not definitely like losers, and they had most cars in the two-wheel drive main. But at the same time, not having a challenger for the win with that big of a team is kind of I feel like, you expect them to at least give a good fight for, the win, which didn't happen this time. So that's why in Schmedium, definitely not losers, either of them, but I can't put them in winners. So they're in the Schmedium category for me. Electric brands, I don't really have much idea. I feel like in Europe, it's kind of like nobody cares because we don't have stock. In America, it's a much bigger deal. Sure, I guess there were L-SRAM drivers there. Hobbywing did well. I don't know other brands if there was some that did especially well, but yeah, not really surprising, I guess. But those are my takes. Anything to add, or do you disagree with something of the brands?
No, I think I think you're fair to say it the way you did there, to be honest. So yeah, for me, fair enough on that. I think obviously Schumacher's had a lot of developments, especially with their Cat PB. So it feels like now that their four wheels like as competitive as their two wheel. So, and obviously it was actually the first time I didn't realize this, that Michael did the double at Daun. Apparently he's never done the double at Daun throughout all the years. So yeah, I guess that kind of says it all there, really.
Yeah, I you would think he would have done it, but then when to think about it, a lot of the times he has just won one of the classes. Like last year, I think. Wait, he did with any last year because of Burak and I think Arab. Yeah, and then the year before, yeah, true, yeah. Well, that's a good one for him. And in the driver segment, I've put Orlowski as a definite winner. This one, another name, Johansson, looking like a top guy. I think that's a big step to take. Like, going from a guy who makes the main to a guy who can take you around and be in the top 3 over multiple rounds. That's a big difference. Like, that's one of the biggest steps in RC that you need to take. So I feel like good job to him. Really good showing. Another 2 names, Ben Smith, Tommy Hall, 2 Brits in both mains. I feel like that's that's something that you should, like, those guys should celebrate, because it's not the easiest, as we talked before. It's not been always the easiest going over to EOS for the UK guys. So yeah, good showing for them. Losers, I think Burak, again, for the reasons said before, kind of like not even being able to defend your title. I think it's obvious that kind of sucks. Maybe not because of him specifically, but yeah. And then Schmedium, I put Horn here because it does. You have to say that the optics of it is not great. You have a handful of Europeans going to Florida Carpet Championships, and they all qualify in the top 7 or something like that. Jona and Orlowski fight for the win, And then you have like one of the top Americans coming over to Europe and like struggling to make it into the main. So I do think the optics of it is not great, but I do think he made the most out of it. So he's definitely not like a full-on loser in EOS Daun, but I feel like it's not a winning performance either. So I have him down in Schmedium. And then Karup, yes, he got a podium. but he also put it in the B in 4-wheel. And I feel like this is something that really shouldn't happen at his level. Like making B mains should not happen at his level anymore. Like I like 2 years ago, fine, like make a B main once in a while. But like at this point, I feel like he should be past making B mains. Like the consistency should be so good that you never have to go through the B main. That's just kind of my take. But then again, if you get a podium, it was still an okay weekend for him. So he's in medium. And most of the other guys, I kind of feel like they were where they belong, to be honest. So I didn't really put them anywhere. But yeah, any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's pretty fair. Obviously, Marcus has had a pretty. I'll say that was a pretty rough weekend, even though he salvaged a 2-wheel podium, which is all good.
Yeah.
I think for Aiden, it was a little bit harder for him because to go all the way from the States on their kind of carpet and then come to Europe, and I think it's just a totally different driving style, and just everything's different. But obviously, he is a top driver, but he obviously still did it in 4 wheels. So I think he still had a decent showing, and I think he's still a driver that's still developing. And then I think obviously for our UK guys, I think it's a really good showing as well, because obviously now kind of Lee and Neil kind of gone. These guys kind of feel like they're filling their shoes, which is it's good for us, I think, for in the UK. And I think Elias as well. I've seen this guy like getting better and better like every year. I think he's been a little bit overshadowed, and I think sometimes he would have like a really good run and then like kind of screw up. But I think you see the consistency starting to come with him a bit more, and obviously to TQ around at EOS. Like he looked really good, and I think just now that as he gets more comfortable with potentially TQing more races and rounds, maybe potentially at EOS, maybe we could see him get even more results. So I think that's all. I think that's pretty accurate for the winners and losers. To be fair, I can't argue with that.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue either because I made the list. So, it would be weird if I did argue with my own list. So I guess to finish off the show, we're going to go into some gossip regarding the team associated tool drive. I'm calling it a B67.
Oh. This is my cue to leave now, just because you've done that, not because we're talking about this. Oh my god!
No,
I think I have to retire now from the NNRC. I just can't bring myself to be part of this anymore.
No, but I feel like you guys should own up to it. Like it's the B67, you know. Like next time you boat, you're running the B67, you know, with the hands. Okay, jokes aside, and for the boomers of the show, that's a joke that the very small kids make. We don't understand it either. I'm too old for stuff like that. But what I'm not too old for is RC cars. Finally on the stage now. So here we have the rear end picture of Alexander London's car at the EOS, and I saw this picture, and I was like, this doesn't look like B7 rear end. You have the B6.1 mounting style with the gearbox going over the bulkhead. You have non-anodized pivot that looks very wide to be a B7 pivot. So I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? So I start going around some pictures, and then I start seeing that a lot of the guys in the main that are running for Associated, they have the roll bars here in the front, and a suspiciously wide like attachment point for the front arms. Also, their links attaches straight to the hub here, except for Clement Boda. He doesn't have this thing with the roll bar links coming in front of the arms, and his link attaches same as the stock B7. And also, he seems to be running a really different type of like setup on his car, because he's according to these pictures running a different car. And here you can see his car, running, a stock B7 basically. And an interesting factor you can see here is when you look at Clement's car, you can see that he has a hole here in the wing. And then you look at the car here. Yeah, he has a hole as well. But sure, you can make holes anywhere, like it's no biggie. But then you look at Marcus's car. He's not running that type of wing at all. And then if you look at his car, he has these, links similar to Jona and these other guys in front of his car, and clearly a wide front bulkhead. And from other pictures, you can see here that he's clearly running a B6 gearbox with this non-anodized bulkhead. And here you can see again the links in front of the arms. And then we go to this picture of him in podium, and this is not the case. He doesn't have the link in front of the car, the arms, different wing with the hole and like blue nuts, which his car didn't have. Okay, so I was like, okay, what's going on with this, and why am I looking at Marcus's car at the press conference? Well, the thing was that of these team associated guys that made the main, it was actually Clement Boda who was the only one running a full-on B7. All of the other guys, to my knowledge, were running a mixture between a B6 sort of front and rear end and a B7 centerpiece. So new front and rear like arm mounts to attach to the B7 chassis to incorporate the B6 arms and hubs, basically. And then I'm not sure if these guys ran the B6 rear arms, because I saw some pictures where they had drilled them shorter. But they are running for sure the B6.1 gearbox, where the motors moved a bit rearwards. And then you can see here like clearly that something's going on here. Same with Horn, he was running this as well, not an European specific thing. But the reason why I brought up Marcus's car in the press conference was that indeed I heard this rumor that somebody had like taken Clement's car, switch Marcus's wheels and body on it. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to borrow someone else's car? But after looking at these pictures, it made perfect sense. Clement was the only one actually running the B7.1, whereas everyone else was running a mixture of a B7 and a B6. And the press conference, obviously, you have the cameras very close to the car. You can clearly see what type of car it is. So a very interesting development in this saga. And I know my today's co-host, Will, is going to be probably not saying much on this topic because he's sponsored by Team Associated. But this B67 car seems to be the new thing. And I did spot on Instagram some pictures of Ryan Cavallari with his tool drive on carpet, which was a similar looking car. So it's going around clearly that people like are running the car like this. But what has been interesting so far is actually on dirt tracks, the US indoor dirt, people have been running the stock B7. So clearly still some playing around with this, and clearly not everybody happy with the B7.1 update, but could be changing. You really don't know, because a lot of these things are a bit of a fluke, and I don't feel like, Marcus won this race last year with the B7, right? So I really don't know why now it would be that the B6 somehow is better. But yeah, this is what it is, and I just think it's interesting or funny how it's been trying to hide it. And it worked for a little while, but I feel like the cat's out of the bag. So something interesting going on there. Anything to add, Will?
I mean, just gotta say the usual stuff, but like, we're always teams always testing stuff. Obviously, the new car has just come. I think it just came right after EOS. So, but
Yeah,
we're always trying to do everything we can to test and try new things. So that's all I can kind of really leave it at, to be honest with you.
yeah. Are you running the B7? The stock
I'm
one?
running a B7, of course.
Oh no,
I'm running a B7. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it would
Yeah.
be quite bad if I if I wasn't. Could be running a
Yeah.
Schumacher.
Yeah. Okay, but at least, well, let's put it this way. At least they're running their own car, because there's been brands who run other people's cars instead of their own. So I guess this is like a better. They're not running their production car, but they're at least running one of their own. So I guess it's better than nothing. But yeah, that kind of wraps up news from me today. A bit of an uncomfortable subject for Will here, representing the team. But we have to be unbiased and get to the bottom of things. We have to know. So I'm not going to be pushing Will on the subject, but we got a good glimpse of what's happening from the pictures, and I think you guys have an idea of that too. So interesting to see how it develops, to be honest. Like, actually interesting to see how it develops, because I feel like there's been a big battle between like Associated fighting against cars who copied them. Like X-Ray is basically the same car as the Associated was, like the B6 was. So they basically just copied a B6 and Associated made a B7. So I feel like it's a bit of an interesting like dynamic in a lot of ways. But yeah, maybe they'll go back to B6. Maybe people will just improve the B7 and it'll be actually better than whatever this that they're running, which I think is the most likely ending scenario for this. But yeah, I always love seeing some sneak pics around the track. These ones are a bit grainy, so I'm sorry for the quality, but we had to deal with on-track pics because I wasn't at the race this time to take these for you guys. Thank you to EOS for supplying the pictures, by the way. Yeah, that's it for today for me. Do we have anything to add? Do you want to add something?
No, I think
about the beginning of the year recap of 1/10 Offroad.
I think it's been a good start to the season so far, and I think slowly there's like some. I think 10th is starting to make a small comeback a little bit. Maybe that's more just because EOS haven't have a round, but yeah, I think we got an exciting season coming up. We have another round of EOS, and then
yeah, actually tell about that a little bit, because it's going to be on dirt, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be at the Hoodie Arena on dirt, so should be fairly similar conditions to the Euros, but we have a few people there. I believe Cavalieri is coming, potentially Aiden Horn from the States, so obviously a few guys wanted to try to get some world's practice. So at the moment, I think this entry is a little bit on the lower side, but obviously I would encourage anyone to get their entry in, because just going to the Hoodie Arena is kind of like a bucket list item thing, and I think it'll be a fun race. Kind of first time on. Actually, no, I think the first ever EOS was actually on dirt like 12, 13 years ago. This will be the first time in the recent years on dirt, so it should be. I think it'll be really fun, to be honest. I'm going to be going myself. Might even vlog it or see how I feel. So it should be a good one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think actually now that you bring it up, it's gonna be the Worlds are gonna be in a bit of a year in Hoodie Arena. Well, a year and a half, in Hoodie Arena. So I guess good preparation for the Europeans to get more acquainted with the surface. Yeah, last time was Spencer taking out the winning two wheels, so need to improve, need to make Europe proud. So I guess it's good practice, and maybe yeah, good for a lot of the guys for coming over as well, for Aiden and stuff, to really make an effort to challenge for that title next year.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it'll be a really good chance for everyone to kind of get some world preps. It'll be nice to see if we get more Americans coming, but I mean, it's still a month and a bit away. So hopefully we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna end the show here. Thank you to Jconcepts, our title sponsor, for your continued support. Thank you to our premium sponsors, Hitec RCD, Sidewinder Fuels, Invisible Speed, and ML Toys. And thank you to all of our other sponsors: Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Get Shit Done Coffee, Elite RC Productions, One Up Racing, Mayako, A-Main Hobbies, SMC Racing, and Racecraft USA. And thank you to the official, or shout out, thank you. I don't know. Anything to these guys, the official non-MRC drivers, David Ronefog, Robert Battier, Alex Hackberg, Matty G, Pekko and Yuna, and of course, Mason Fuller. And thank you to you guys, the NNRC squad, the patrons, the members, subscribers, all of you guys. Yeah, a bit of a different type of podcast this time. I guess we kind of tend to do an EOS recap every year, so I think it's the second one we've done. So yeah, we're getting back with Keaton, I think, next week. Don't know if he's gonna do a live or what's gonna happen, but you'll hear more from him then. But yeah, it was the boys. The boys were back. Now the boys are going away. We'll be back at some point, probably after Hoodie EOS. I think by the latest we'll be back by then, because I'd be really interested to recap that first Dirt EOS in a long time, as you said. Anything to add before we say sayonara?
No, I think that's it. Obviously, thanks to all the sponsors and everyone that supports us. Check out my blog. Literally just released it yesterday. So if you want to see the experience from MK, make sure to check it out. But yeah, I think that's everything from me. So I think that's sayonara, really.
All right, guys. Thank you for enjoying your. I hope you enjoyed your time with us. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See you later, guys.